Hey, my name's Luke, and today we're reading Obese Redditors Who Lost the Weight. What surprised you the most? That winters have become temporary apocalypses where I need to double up on literally everything lest I freeze to death. My first winter skinny, I had to wear 2 pairs of socks on my feet or else they would be numb in the morning. Also went from lack of anxiety to more anxiety from being noticed more. No bueno. I've recently lost 65 pounds, 243 to 178. Still got a bit to go though. I've already noticed a decent difference including how people act towards me, which I was expecting, but the part I wasn't expecting was the resentment from some of my friends who, while not terribly overweight, are now slightly heavier than me and they are not happy about it. A lot of the things have already been said. As for something new, I was freaking shocked the first time I jumped into a go-kart and flew around the track. I thought they had upgraded the carts. Then I just realized that they haul a lot of when they're hauling 135 pounds less. Yeah, carts are slower to accelerate when you're a heavier character, but they have a higher top speed and you can bump other carts and make them drop coins. How little I actually need to eat versus how much I feel I could eat. The before and after photos for the most part. You don't realize how fat you actually are until you lose weight and look 10 times better. When sitting in hard chairs or benches, I could feel my vertebrae touching whatever I was sitting on. It was very weird to get used to. And getting cold very easily. Yep, no more natural cushion. Sitting takes a little more effort, but luckily, better posture equals more comfortable. I lost over 90 pounds last year, and what surprised me most is I forgot to calculate for shrinking underwear. It cost a bundle to replace, but was incentive to keep the weight off, which I did. Oh, and my shoe size went down 1 size. That is pretty common as well. Going from eating greasy fast food to mostly fruits and vegetables means that you don't have to use half a roll of toilet paper when taking it. Shopping for clothes is so much easier now. You should maybe point out that those two things aren't related. No, they're related. How easy it comes back. Went from 250 to less than 200, then back to 265-ish. I've lost about 15 since I hit that max, but it's not as easy this time. As someone who constantly complained about being too hot and then lost over 100 pounds, 360 to about 250, why the F is everything so cold? Oh, and to add to that, you sweat so much less. I never understood why I sweated. I lived in New England, and even in the harsh -10-degree winters, I was still sweating, constantly, just always sweating. Now I never sweat unless I'm working out hard. Lost about 200 pounds following the death of my wife. Needed to make sure I wasn't going to keel over of a heart attack now I was a single parent to our 2 kids. Always used to be hot all the time. Cold was something that now existed. Also realized that I was still kind of a crappy person, now just a slightly smaller one. In June 2018 at the doctor's office, I weighed 263 pounds without clothes. This past Thursday at the doctor's office, I weighed 211 pounds without clothes. I guess what surprised me the most is that I really can't see where I lost all that weight. How easy it was to lose weight once I accepted the fact that I'm a food addict / eater, and therefore calorie counting just needs to always be a part of my life. Although the biggest surprise was how sabotaging, mean, and in denial almost all the people in my life are regarding food. I found it odd when I was blending into a crowd. No one looked or whispering, no side glances, and then getting used to the fact that people laughing together were now very unlikely to be laughing at me. I lost 5 stone in UK measurements, around 70 pounds, over 2.5 years. How different people treat you when you are in shape versus fat. You get treated with a lot more respect from men and women. It was weird to get used to. I can confirm this. My best friend just lost a ton of weight through a year of hard work. There was a guy at our university who treated her so badly when she was overweight. He one time told her he didn't talk to fat chicks. He wasn't even that thin himself. She didn't see him for a year, and then we ran into him on campus a year later. She was 100 pounds thinner. He was all over her. He was telling her she was beautiful, and he always liked her but was too afraid to tell her, and asked her on a date. I almost spit out my milk and myself when she responded with, "Sorry, I don't talk to fat people." Just a disclaimer, she's very encouraging of people trying to lose weight. She's actually on her way to becoming a personal trainer. She's not trying to fat shame anyone and would never say that to anyone else. Somebody was around to hear what she said today, so blah, 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 blah. My asthma symptoms completely went away. Never even considered that as a possible outcome. I was pretty broke and ran out of Advair, preventative medication, which cost $300 for a month's supply, where the rescue inhaler cost like $20. So I was going to have to go cold turkey, and about 2 weeks later, I realized I hadn't actually used the rescue inhaler. Eventually, my rescue inhaler expired, and I haven't had need or want for it since. Boxer shorts don't naturally fold over at the top. That's gut momentum. I do actually get cold in winter and can no longer wear shorts in January. That I wasn't happy. I thought I would be happy, or happier, but I just wasn't. I had lost around 130 pounds, felt the same mentally. I've gained back about 50 pounds, trying to bring myself back into the routine of losing weight, but it's difficult knowing it won't fix all of my apathy. Went from 270 to 175. One character in Game of Thrones, Salador San, jokes that, "A fat man always sits comfortably, I am thinking, for he takes his pillow with him wherever he goes." And holy shit, it's true. I never realized how uncomfortable bleachers were or even noticed that I had a tailbone before losing the weight. How much better I felt, how much energy I had, and how much a lot of the new clothes cost. My self-image is still sometimes 260 pounds, 6 years after I dropped almost half of it. I get so cold now. I can't get away with just a sweatshirt in the winter. I need a long sleeve underneath the sweater, underneath my big coat, before I even feel a little warm. I finally understand why people wear so many layers. I've still got a ways to go. Currently 258 from 298 in November. But one pleasant change is that when I'm lying down on my back, I can feel my ribs. I don't know if you'd call each one surprising on their own, but in total, they combine to a massive quality of life improvement. I slept better, breathed better, my mood improved, my pain lessened, my knees stopped hurting. I could actually get up from sitting on the floor without rolling on my side, and I could just stand. Depression went away, anxiety went away, social phobias went away, muscle cramps in my upper back went away. I stopped wearing through the and underarms of all my clothing in short order and lost the chafing that went along with that. I can now withstand bumps without bruising so much. Small scratches and mosquito bites didn't bleed for effing ever, and I catch a cold once every few years instead of twice a year. Perhaps the biggest surprise was the amount of pain I suddenly wasn't in just from moving around. That's the best. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter, The 6 Habits of Skinny People. A compilation of the eating habits of my naturally skinny friends. I personally know a number of consistently skinny people, and a lot of them believe they have a large appetite, that they love snacks, and that they will never gain weight no matter how much they eat. When I am with them, I do see them indulging in pizzas, fried chicken, and ice cream during outings. However, over time, I have observed the following peculiar actions of theirs. 1. If something is not nice, they would not touch it at all. We order curry chicken, turns out to be a bit dry. It is still well flavored, so I continue to eat it, because wasting food and money, right? My skinny friend takes a bite, doesn't like it, never reaches for it again. 2. Reaching satisfaction with actually palatable food. Our boss brings a tin of cookies, and we all take one. It is so buttery, and my pretentious healthy self thinks, this is so great, but too fattening for another one. Skinny colleague takes 2 more happily and goes back to her desk. Me cannot stop thinking about those cookies, buys a whole tin for myself the next day. 3. Vigorous portion controlling. 2 a.m., roommate complains she's starving. She opens a pack of chips and offers us some. I refuse because eating at night is a sin. She chews on 2 chips. 2. Closes bag, goes back to sleep. Excuse me, weren't you hungry? I feel like this one might hit home for many. If I buy a medium bag, I will eat it all. Same if I buy a large bag. Closing it for next time is extremely difficult. Even if I closed it, I will continuously think about it until my hand involuntarily reaches for it again. I ordered the same thing with another skinny friend and we both really enjoyed it. The difference was that I stuffed my face while he left so much of it. His reason? That he felt like he had the right amount, and eating more would be detrimental to his desire to eat it another time, because he wants to eat it again in the future. What? Cannot relate, but okay, lol. 4. They really balance their total calories either intentionally or their body just naturally tells them to. Another skinny friend really likes Asian bubble tea. If you're not familiar, the thing is packed with carbs, the milk, the sugar, and the starchy tapioca pearls. How does skinny friend drink this, you may ask? She sips it for a whole day, then puts it in the fridge to finish the next day. Oh, and did I mention she does not eat anything else for these 2 days? Nothing. Like I mentioned before, we see skinny people eat unhealthy things, and possibly a lot of it. What we don't see is that they won't eat anything else at night or even the entire next day, because they feel put off by all the grease they have ingested and need to recover. 5. Eating speed is significantly lower. I watched a skinny friend eat and noticed that they chewed at least 50 times before they swallowed. I tried this and the food disappeared from my mouth before I got to 20. This gives time for satiety hormones to reach the brain and guide you on when to stop eating. Another skinny friend is an absolute sweetheart and she is such a chatterbox during meal times. Most of us have no problem eating while chatting, but skinny friend cannot seem to remember she has food in front of her when she's talking about something. By the time we are done, she's eaten maybe 20% of it and no longer wants any. 6. Might not care about food that much. One skinny mate only eats to prevent dying, thinks eating disturbs his flow and calls it a chore. He would take it if he could live on an IV bag if it meant he didn't have to eat anymore. TLDR, all/some skinny people claim to eat a lot. Most likely don't. Really listen to their body. Don't really see eating as important. Are living our diets as their life. I'm not saying these people are necessarily healthy. The point of my post was just to let more of us know what is inside the heads of some skinny individuals, despite how much we may not be able to understand it. Everything has a reason. It's not just fast metabolism. We may be programmed differently, but genetic makeup does not account for 100%. Never give up the weight loss journey. When I was in high school, I got really heavy because I would hang out with jocks. So we would all go out to McDonald's after school and they would kill like 2 to 3 double cheeseburgers and a thing of fries. I would just eat whatever they ate. Problem was, they would then go to football or wrestling or soccer practice, sometimes double practices, and they also weightlifted in the morning. They're immediately burning off what they ate, plus we were young, so some people could just eat like that. I, on the other hand, would go home and play video games all day. At the time, I couldn't understand why I was heavier and they were rocking abs and whatnot. It can be tricky when you don't see people's full life/day. Even just general activity can be drastically different. My friend and I would compare as we'd always get the same junk food, but finally one day, it clicked in just how much more moving that he would do. We needed something, he'd go sprint up 3 flights of stairs and grab it for us. Meet at a friend's house? If I can get a ride, maybe. He'd jog 3 miles to play video games. Even just his constant futzing was burning calories. I'd get home and sit on the couch and that was it. He'd constantly be playing with things, picking stuff up just to look at. Hell, even sitting down he'd jiggle his leg or something. That and not eating until it was time for junk food. We'd go to McDonald's and get the same giant order, but that was it for him for the day. I'd already had 2 bowls of cereal and a couple of sandwiches. It's actually called non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT. It's the calories you burn doing day-to-day things that aren't eating, sleeping, or exercising. Scientists have found a lot of people who don't watch what they eat but are still slim have a high NEAT, which is pretty neat, lol. So I've lost a lot of weight to where people think I'm a naturally skinny person. I'm 6'3", 173, but my brother is 6'1", 145, and he's always been skinny. I'll never forget when we sat down for continental breakfast at a hotel. I loaded up with scrambled eggs, bacon, a bagel with cream cheese, coffee. He got a small bowl of Fruit Loops. We ate and talked, yada yada yada. At the end of the meal, my plate was empty, and he didn't even finish the cereal. He just wasn't hungry. And I'm a naturally skinny guy, 6 feet, 145 pounds, and people don't understand how much my hunger can fluctuate. People tell me, why are you skinny? Just eat a damn sandwich. They don't understand that I just don't get hungry often. Imagine after stuffing your face at Thanksgiving, that feeling of fullness and that you never want to see food again. Now imagine someone walks up and tells you to keep eating. Why would you? You're already full. It's detrimental to your happiness and health to keep eating, so you don't. That's why I'm skinny. TLDR, naturally skinny people just aren't that hungry, I guess. Some people can feel physically full or heavy after a large meal, but never satisfied. You'd think that would make eating less tempting, but no. I could eat forever if presented with alternating sweet and salty foods. I just don't get a satisfied feeling usually. That's not to say I'm always desperately craving food, though some days are definitely like that. But I can always eat, and I don't have a sense of when to stop without forcing myself to be aware of portion sizes. It sucks. I noticed this too, and it was earth-shattering. I went to Germany and ate like my skinny aunt. In the 2-week visit, I had 2 Christmas dinners, 2 dinners at 2 Hofbrau houses, 2 Turkish dinners, coffee, and cake 3 times, including the most exquisite food memory ever. Amazing cake and coffee in a cafe on the Rhine. Potato pancakes dripping in oil, and applesauce, currywurst and fries, glue wine, lots of wine actually, warm Bräuchen, Spelling, and cold cuts for breakfast, a schnitzel lunch, and a McDonald's lunch. I savored every bite, even the McDonald's, which came after a long morning of sightseeing in Munich. I lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks. It was so shocking to me. Our lunches were lean or nothing most days, and I was careful to not eat seconds except on Christmas. I ate slowly and savored it all. It was a huge lesson and really showed me I eat like utter crap normally. So much better to eat well and eat good things. So many of these things describe my husband, number 1 especially. The thing is, I might not even notice that the chicken was dry unless my husband was with me. It's actually so interesting to watch him deal with food. Without consciously thinking about it, when he gets his plate, he goes through this whole process. He will look at it carefully, possibly disassembling it a little to check out everything that's in there. He then smells it and will often comment on what it smells like. Then he pokes at it a bit with a fork to figure out the textures. Is it crispy where it should be crispy? Soft where it should be soft? Is the sauce thick enough? And then he takes a thoughtful bite and really thinks about the flavors and spices that are in there and then decides if it's good or not. If it's thumbs up, he will eat it. Not until he is full, but until he is not hungry anymore. If not, he just doesn't eat at all and then goes to Dairy Queen later, lol. Beautiful, well, let's dive into the next chapter. Normal weight Redditors with the spouse who became obese. How do you handle it? He was on a diet when I met him and slowly just gained back what he lost. His family is all overweight and he has it programmed in his head to eat a certain way. It's been years of me trying to get him to care. It's not the fat that bothers me, it's his mindset. Heart disease has taken every male on his father's side. He just doesn't get it. I make him healthy lunches and end up finding them stacked in his trunk, and then bank statements of takeout while he's at work. I make great meals for dinner. He either complains but eats it or buys pizza on the way home. I'm about to give up, to be honest. I never mentioned it. I cooked/bought good healthy food, discouraged us from eating out so much, took him on walks with me. When he asked me to give him privacy to do push-ups and crunches, I politely leave the room and don't make a big deal of it. While it made him less attractive to me, I never mentioned it. That was 2 years ago, and now he's no longer overweight. I broke up with her after years of support and thousands of dollars in equipment, nutritionists, and programs. What it came down to is a lack of frigs given to stick with anything. I broke up with him. He was not the same guy that he used to be when I met him, and I don't know if that's what caused him to be fat, or if he became fat because of who he was becoming. I tried to get him to go to the gym with me and on my morning jogs, but nothing seemed to work really. He became really bitter and began blaming it on everyone and everything around him. I don't know if I handled it properly, but I'm happy to be single again. My mornings are way better now. My wife is very pretty, but has put on some weight and must tip the scales to at least 300 pounds now and shows no signs of slowing down. Other than weight, she still keeps herself very well. She usually dresses nicely, fixes herself up when going out, etc. My looks are forgettable at best, but I'm in excellent shape. My attraction to her is definitely diminished. I'm still attracted, but I have to actively avoid looking at her unflattering postures and concentrate on looking at her in flattering poses. He gave up. he just totally gave up. He used to be into several martial arts and he was heavily muscled, but at a normal weight for his height. He looked good, stocky built, but a standard good. After a couple of years of school, he got into politics, which turned into long days and late nights and never eating properly and getting addicted to energy drinks. I'd cook healthy for us at home, discourage trips out to eat or fast food runs, but it did no good. Left to his own devices on his own hours, it was soda pop and energy drinks and junk food just constantly. I tried to address it several times. I got us both gym memberships as engagement presents. I begged him to go with me, and he would refuse and make up excuses and yell at me for being a neg. I told myself I still loved him and that the physical attraction wasn't the base of our connection. Our friendship was/is. I still loved the person I knew, just there was more to him. We fell into a dead bedroom within 2 years of marriage. I just couldn't feel attracted to him in that way. I felt repulsed when he would touch me. I'll never tell him that I hate our wedding pictures. I want to cry because he doesn't look like the man that I met. In 5 years, he gained that 100+ pounds. What's important is that we are still friends and still have good experiences together. I have accepted that he may die from cholesterol issues, which run in his family. He has made his decision about his health and how it will affect me. There are days that it really hurts. What do? Decide if the relationship still serves you. Decide if this person still matters to you. Accept that their choices are their own, and be aware of potential consequences. If the consequences of their choices outweigh any potential good future, get out. She just doesn't seem to care about her weight. She prescribes to the idea that being overweight is totally fine as long as she feels good about herself. I've told her that having a sense of self-worth should have nothing to do with how you look physically, but it should be something innate, something that is not dependent on our situation. I work out every day. At first it was because I was overweight and unhealthy and I want to be around for our kids. Later on, I got hooked on the weightlifting aspect of my workout. I have seen what being overweight does to people, especially as they get older, and it's terrible. I have offered to get her a gym membership so we can go together or watch the kids and she can go anything. I eat healthy food and stay active, and she just eats her junk food and does very minimal activity. Her back, hip, and knees constantly hurt, and she has trouble just bending over to pick up laundry. So I do my own laundry and do chores that involve bending over, cleaning toilets, scrubbing floors, etc. Mostly it makes me sad because I don't have any attraction to her anymore, and I just see her ending up like grandma, struggling to get around, and then just fall over one day, breaking a hip, and ending up in some assisted living place. I don't know how else to motivate her to get healthier. I'm a little late, but God bless my poor, long-suffering husband. When we got married 25 years ago, I was 125 pounds, 5'3", and in great shape. Early menopause and kids took their toll. My weight was up and down during most of those years. My weight finally peaked at 260 a couple of years ago. At that point, I decided enough was enough. I made some radical changes, and now I am down to 135 and look pretty smoking hot for my age. So for him, it paid off to be patient and kind and supportive of me. He kept the focus on my health and not how I looked. I knew I was fat and miserable. I didn't need him reminding me of that fact. Nothing changed until I was ready to change it. We were both actually overweight when we met. After a few years of marriage, we both went into the obese territory, but I decided enough was enough and got into really good shape. I lost weight and started working out, and fitness became my passion, not so much for my spouse. It has definitely caused some issues, mostly because I wish we shared some common interests. I get very jealous of couples who run 5Ks together, or take fitness classes together, or go for long bike rides together. All of those things are big sources of enjoyment in my life, and it kills me that I can't share that with my partner. It wasn't so much the weight that bothered me, it was the complete apathy about doing anything about it. At that time, I didn't have many friends, and I was so fed up of walking, running, cycling, and doing assault courses by myself. She said she was shy exercising in public, so I bought her an exercise bike just to start her off, and I swore that if she wanted to exercise, I would drop anything I'm doing to do it with her. The exercise bike was used once. I left her 5 months ago and took the bike with me. I bet she won't notice until January 1st. Not only that, but she would complain about her weight all the time and have massive mood swings, which I'm sure got worse as she gained weight. Dating someone now who has the same interests as me, and I've made more friends in the past 5 months than I have in a lifetime. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. Morbidly obese people of Reddit. Exactly what did you eat today? I'm no longer morbidly obese as I made a few lifestyle changes a few years ago. Still a fat guy, but I was once morbidly obese, 458 pounds at my highest point, and only 5'9". Back then I used to not work out, exercise, or do anything outside of video games and work, which was McDonald's. I was a cook, so I readily had access to food and would eat excessive amounts during work, and on my break would pound down even more. On an average double shift, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., here's what I'd have. Breakfast, 2 sausage egg McMuffins, 2 orders of hotcakes, pancakes with extra butter, the large pop cup from McDonald's of orange juice, not a large OJ which was the small pop cup, 6 to 8 hash browns. Lunch, 40 to 60 chicken McNuggets, dipped/covered in mayo, or when we had it, gravy and cheese curds. McDonald's used to sell poutine Canada-wide, but now it's only in select Quebec stores. 2 double Big Macs with extra cheese and sauce, no vegetables at all. A large cup of Coke, usually refilled twice throughout the half-hour lunch break. Dinner, usually the same as lunch, again, but this time with the McFlurry after, mixed in the large pop cup so it was like a 1 liter of ice cream and obnoxious amounts of Oreo. It was almost all Oreo. Between designated breaks or while working, I'd frequently be mowing down on additional McNuggets or eating the "you made this wrong, I asked for no ketchup" returned items. The nugget count was probably up in the 100 range for the day, on top of whatever I ate at the breaks. So in total, if I was working a double shift, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., it would usually be about 200 McNuggets, give or take, 4 or 5 double Big Macs with extra cheese and sauce, 4 to 6 liters of Coke, no ice, 1 liter of ice cream with roughly 20 Oreo cookies, 10 pancakes, 2 sausage/egg McMuffins, 6 to 8 hash browns, usually 10 or so McDoubles, then called double cheeseburgers, and 2 or so McChickens. The last 2 items varied. If I was on my game and didn't screw up someone's order, then I wouldn't get any of the McDoubles/chickens. But sometimes I know I purposefully screwed up an order because I wanted to eat it. Fast forward to today, I'm 260 pounds, still dropping. I've somehow gained 2 inches in height, and I'm out of the danger zone for diabetes and heart problems. I'm still considered elevated, but most of America and Canada is in that zone. I still eat McDonald's breakfast on occasion, but only get 2 sausage egg sandwiches and don't eat the hash browns with the water. I'm a 20-year-old female, 5'6" and 243 pounds, down from 275. I've recently been making some changes in my diet, and this is where I used to be. I worked 2 jobs throughout high school and now into college. I babysat and nannied and worked at a restaurant. My bank doesn't allow cash deposits, so all the money I would make from babysitting, I would immediately go spend at the store. I never ate breakfast. For lunch, I'd eat 2 burgers with cheese, lots of ketchup, and a really thick bun, with about a whole frozen bag of french fries or potatoes of some kind, and a whole pack of bacon. For dinner, I'd eat whatever my mom prepared, but then I'd go upstairs and dig into my stash of food that I hid under my bed and in my closet. I'd hide huge bowls of homemade buttercream frosting, cookies, cake, candy bars, tons of bags of chips, those loaves of that fresh bread that they make daily at grocery stores. With each loaf of bread, I'd dip it in olive oil and balsamic vinegar. I'd eat 1 or 2 of those a day. I was never huge, but between the ages of 10 to 16 was definitely overweight. I would come home from school and just eat, mostly corn chips and sour cream, and it'd be the whole bag. Or I would make a pizza and eat the whole thing, then have dinner later. On bad days, I'd find anything possible to eat, like melting chocolate and eating that. Hell, it disgusts me to think of it, but I would make icing and eat it. No going back. I'm 5'4", and a year ago I was 90 kilos with the BMI of 34. Today, I am 75 kilos and working on it. The plan is to be my goal weight, 59 kilograms, in 4 months' time. Back then, I wouldn't eat breakfast, but would have a massive binge lunch, like 2 cheeseburgers, a 6-pack of nuggets, large Coke, large fries, McFlurry, and maybe a Twister as well. Or pizza and 2 blocks of chocolate. I lost the last 14 kilograms kicking and screaming. The next 15 will be because I'm on a properly calorie controlled diet and because I am determined to do it for me. 3 days down, 1 kilo lighter. I know that I have a psychologically unhealthy relationship with food and my weight will be a struggle for the rest of my life, but I can't remember ever being a healthy weight, so I figure it'll be nice to fight the problem from a healthy weight. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. To the obese and previously obese Redditors, what's something about obesity that most people do not know about? In hot weather, if you don't remember to apply antiperspirant on your thighs, or stupidly wear underwear that is loose in the legs, the insides of your thighs can rub together enough to start bleeding. The dreaded chub rubs. I've never been obese, only overweight, but I have flabby, thick thighs. This is basically why I decided to lose weight. I used to be 296 pounds at 18, and carrying that up till then wore the cartilage in my knees out, so I'm basically an old lady at 26. So if you are obese right now, I suggest working on keeping your knees and ankles strong, because if you manage to find a great paying job that requires you to stand on your feet for over 8 hours, and you actually like the job, your knees may give out on you like they did me. I miss my job and working so much, and doctors don't believe my pain or annoyance with leaning on something when I stand up. Also, women's plus size clothing does not need to have glitter and butterflies on every damn shirt. The flip side of this is if you do manage to lose weight, ideally while still young and before damage done to cartilage as suggested, you feel like a friggin' ninja at minus 100 pounds and so on. I'm 5'8". 225 pounds was a tough carry for me. Got down to 125 and suddenly was ghosting around people in supermarket aisles, beating defenders down the pitch in adult soccer league play. Psychologically, it's just such a lift not to have that weight anymore. To anyone trying to lose weight, I swear, you feel better with every pound off. A lot of people are still hard on themselves if they've only lost a pound or two in a stretch, but that's a pound or two less your body has to carry. Add enough of those up and you can really feel the difference. Even when you find clothes that fit you, 95% of the time, they won't fit properly in one way or another unless they're extremely soft things like pajamas. Jeans are a problem if you have a big gut but normal-ish legs. In order for the waist size to fit, the legs turn out very baggy. They assume you are fat all the way down. I don't want those low-fitting jeans below my belly, then it pinches stuff down there. Some people are not at all helpful when you start losing weight. When I lost enough weight that it was noticeable to everyone who knew me, I started getting a lot of comments about how I didn't need to lose weight because I looked so good as I was or whatever. I was like, no, I'm super fat and unhealthy, and it would be nice if you supported me doing something I clearly need to do rather than trying to make me feel happy about being obese. Speaking as a formerly obese person, being obese is painful in more ways than one. Carrying around all that extra weight is really stressful on your joints, something I'm feeling intensely since losing 130 plus pounds. I had chronic pain before, and it's actually gotten worse since weight loss because my posture sucks and my joints are weak as hell from 2 decades of obesity. Also, people told me all of my life to just put down the fork and I'll get better. Yes, eating less and moving more worked for me, which is why I continue to do it, but that doesn't address the underlying psychological reasons of why I overate in the first place. So many obese folks are dealing with binging issues that were triggered by trauma or adverse life experiences, and I feel like people like me don't have any resources and face a lot of shame for how we dealt with our trauma. I know this is not the case for all obese folks, but it's more common than people think, and obese people are often shamed for speaking up about it. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. Skinny people who used to be fat. Do you feel that you're treated differently now after the weight loss? How so? Instead of being looked at with an expression of complete disgust, people look at me with an expression of moderate disgust. People treat me 100% differently now that I've lost over 100 pounds. I'm invited to parties, get-togethers, etc. Oh, and you rarely ever get approached by women when you're morbidly obese. I'm not super thin now by any means. I'm still husky, but yes, it's 2 totally different worlds. Definitely, nobody made fun of my appearance when I lost weight, including strangers on the street. Guys who had once teased me suddenly wanted to spend time with me. People, without a doubt, seem to take me more seriously. This will sound entitled, and it totally makes me uncomfortable because I wasn't raised with it. But female attention, not at all used to it, and it kind of makes me feel weird. Yes, people are nicer. So much nicer. It's crazy. Being a fat kid and getting picked on still makes me think random people are going to taunt me on the street, but it doesn't happen ever. Literally half the man I used to be, down from almost 375 to 175. People do treat you different. I kinda just fit in now. People seem nicer and more willing to talk to me. I also at one point got down to 155. What hurts just as bad is when someone tells you that you should gain weight or are just too skinny. That felt the exact same as when someone told me I needed to lose weight or was too fat. I've lost about 60 pounds total over the past 2 years. Honestly, it's been amazing. I had been chubby and eventually obese most of my life. After losing weight, I feel absolutely wonderful. People talk to me. I love dressing up and going out in public. I've learned how to have proper social interactions. Basically, I feel like I didn't become a real person until I lost weight, and people didn't treat me like one until I did either. Life is a whole lot better. When I was overweight, strangers would scream insults at me from passing cars. That doesn't happen now, which is nice. Wow, what the frig? I can't believe people like that exist. I was riding my bike down a busy street one day. A group of guys in a car passed me. Some of them leaned out and yelled, "Fat girl on a bike." I grew up chubby, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing crazy, just the kind of chubby you are and only realize it when you see a picture of yourself or somebody makes a jab at the pool in summer. Summer before freshman year, football practice effing shredded me. All of a sudden, girls are like, "Oh, you're too cool to talk to me?" No girl, you were when I was chubby. I loved my high school girlfriend for always loving me. She did appreciate the change, by the way. Yeah, I'm treated less by doctors. Oh snap, that's the sound your ankles didn't make. You bet people do. I'm 5'11" and went from 330 pounds to 180 since 2016. I'm loving how I'm being treated. I have longer conversations, talk to attractive people way more, and get compliments out of nowhere. I always knew people put a lot of weight into your looks. I'm not gonna lie, I've let pretty people get away with things, but now I get that luxury. Yes and no. Since last year, I've lost 29 pounds. I went from 157 pounds down to 128, and I'm 5'3". My parents treat me the most different out of everyone. They are very relaxed with their eating habits, just the same as I used to be, so they don't seem to be happy with me all of a sudden counting calories. Recently, they keep telling me to not go crazy with the weight loss, which is understandable, but it comes across differently when they say it with a disapproving tone of voice. It seems as though they don't seem happy with me losing weight. For example, last year when I weighed more, they would never buy me treats like an Easter egg, not even one. Whereas this year they have bought me 4 Easter eggs, not really helping me there. I get a lot more negative attention, especially from women. Before, I was just the jolly fat friend that everyone invited out, but now a lot of women view me as competition, and I get dirty looks all the time. I've had strangers look me up and down and scoff at me, and gotten more eye rolls than I can count. Last time I went to the beach, these women were talking bad about me the whole afternoon in another language which they mistakenly thought I didn't understand. I'm not a model or anything, and it always surprises me that women are so mean and catty to each other. I always hear about thin privilege, but honestly, people treated me a lot more nicely when I was fat. Absolutely, like it's literally 1000% different. I was chubby in middle school, I was teased, I had little friends, fell into depression, and girls didn't even want to look at me. Confidence in game was low. Starting in high school, I got fit, and things gradually changed. Then as I went into the real world and even into college, I became an entirely new persona in the eyes of those around me. I wouldn't change my life and how people treat me for the world now. It's absolutely amazing. If you're overweight and you are thinking about getting in shape so that you'll be treated differently and better, absolutely do it. But also know that your mind will tell you that you are fat for a long time. Confidence is learned. It is not given just because you've lost the weight. Failure can and will still happen. But yes, life is way better now. Definitely. In middle school, people called me piggy or fatty, and other bad things were common too. No girls wanted anything to do with me. Then I went from 5'1", 140 pounds to 6 feet, 140 pounds. I feel great about my body. The first time I felt like a girl was admiring me was amazing. People are way nicer to more attractive people because they want to be associated with them. It's a cruel and stupid reality. People don't treat me differently per se, but since the weight loss has been pretty recent, people tell me I look great and skinny all the time now. It's been a huge boost for my confidence, but it's funny how suddenly the compliments started. I've lost 60 pounds, so that obviously took some time, but the compliments and realization of my weight loss by others seemed to happen right at the 50 to 55 pound mark. All in all, my quality of life has improved 100-fold, and I couldn't be more happy that I finally lost the weight. Beautiful. Well, let's dive into the next chapter. Does anyone else take notes by observing the habits of thin people? I work in an office with people who have managed to stay thin through years of sitting at a desk. I couldn't even get thin at a job where I walked all day because my eating habits were so bad. Something I noticed about the thin people in my office are that they really only eat what they feel like they need to. A girl a few desks over from me had a package of cinnamon sugar pecans one day. She ate a few, then closed them, and sat them back on her desk until the next day. Before I started my lifestyle change, I would have devoured the entire package of those things if I had some. I was getting coffee one morning and someone brought a couple boxes of donuts. As I'm getting my coffee, I see a thin guy, walk past the donuts without even taking a look, almost as if he knew he didn't actually need to eat that donut if he wasn't hungry for one. When eating out with my friends, my thinner friends will only eat until they are full. They won't eat an entire meal plus appetizers. These are all things I took note of when I decided to change my eating habits, and it has helped a ton. Just curious if anybody else has also done this. I was on a flight yesterday, and as we arrived at the gate, the woman in the seat next to me grabbed a small bag of M&Ms out of her purse, took out about 6 of them, rolled the bag back up, and put it back in her purse. I would have eaten the entire thing in 2 minutes if they were my M&Ms. Edit, I'm convinced she was a witch because no human being could do that. I would have eaten her M&Ms when she got up to use the toilet. Something I say whenever this comes up, beware of the fact that you don't know the private habits of others. I used to see my friends eat and drink just as much as me and would be baffled as to how they could be skinny. I didn't realize until much later that they only ate that way very rarely on social occasions. The day after that, they likely ate a lot less than their normal to compensate. Some people do this without even having to think about it, which also baffles me, and then went back to the usual light eating. This is what I wasn't doing. I would eat a lot socially as well as privately. I do this all the time. My weight has always been higher than most of the other girls I'm around, so my friends and coworkers who are really thin baffle me. I am relearning everything, and sometimes it feels so stupid. The guy in your story walking past the donuts really gets to me. I seriously struggle with sugar, and free sugar. I wouldn't have even considered whether I was hungry or not. I've started doing this as well. My sister-in-law and mother-in-law are very thin and always have been. One time at Olive Garden, my mother-in-law broke off the ends of her breadstick and ate the middle. I asked why, and she said, "Why bother wasting calories on the not as delicious crunchy end pieces? LOL, I just shove the whole damn breadstick down when I eat." Now I think if the crust or parts of something isn't that tasty, I just won't eat it. They also eat very slowly, which is something that's really helped me. They also split a meal at every restaurant we go to. I used to think it was stupid and annoying, but restaurant portions are huge and high calorie anyway. Might as well split it, plus it's cheaper. Yup, I have a very thin female coworker. I don't think her weight loss has fluctuated more than 5 pounds in her adult life, and if that ever happened, it was probably due to constipation. So yes, I took notes. She eats the same thing for lunch every day. Every friggin' day. And it's super boring too. Like a bag of plain lettuce is one of the components. I asked her about it. She said that it's cheap and easy and she really doesn't care at all about food and literally never thinks about it. She said that dinner is her big meal, but also not too exciting. If she goes out to eat ever, then that's like it for the day because she won't even think to eat again unless her stomach grumbles. So I don't think I can just stop thinking about food. But I can mimic that through intermittent fasting and I can be boring and eat the same damn lunch every day. So far, it works. Weight is falling off. Yep, the girl I share an office with has had a lint gold bunny on her desk for 2 weeks. Every day she has another little piece and then wraps it back up. I could easily devour an entire one before lunch and not even think about it. I used to always envy naturally thin people. One time last summer, before I started my healthy living journey, I stayed at a friend's house for a week on vacation. This is a girl that DIYs kombucha and grows her own vegetables. I always thought she was just thin, fit, healthy, active because genetics, but on her fridge was a pretty floral poster that read, "Remember mindful, intuitive eating," or something like that. I was shocked because why does she need to remember to eat intuitively? Would she actually reach for something unhealthy if she didn't have that poster? And would she keep eating the unhealthy food? That can't be. So anyways, just remember that the naturally thin people aren't superhumans with special eating powers. And maybe they're also telling themselves, don't look at the donuts, don't look at the donuts, just keep walking, don't look at the donuts, you have carrots in the fridge. I used to always eat when food was around or available, even if I wasn't hungry, because I had this fear of, what if my next meal doesn't happen for a long time, and I will get super hungry and will have no food? I had convinced my brain that, I live in America, there is always food available somewhere, always. So I have stopped doing that, which has helped a lot. I also felt the need to not waste food, but after going on a vacation with my thin friend, who never finishes an entire meal, I realized wasted food is better than the food getting stored in my thighs. I stayed with a friend and his family for a month, and to thank them for their hospitality, I decided to cook them a dinner. I made spaghetti and meat sauce with garlic bread for them. This entire family were on the bigger side, myself included. My friend's buddy stopped by with his girlfriend. They were both very fit. They sat down and ate about a third of the pasta they had been served, and when finished, thanked us and left. One of my friend's sisters said as soon as they left, "I knew it. I knew they weren't going to eat any bread. Skinny people don't eat bread." After I thought about it, she was right. They didn't touch the garlic bread and barely touched their meal. They only ate some out of courtesy. I never noticed skinny people's eating habits until that day. Now I notice it all the time. I think one of the biggest things I've been working on over the past year is patience with my food. I used to be in awe of people who could manage to only eat half of their lunch or snack and save the rest for another day. I always felt this intense anxiety to eat all of my takeout or finish off a snack, as if someone might come along and steal it away from me. I used to eat a whole block of cheese in probably 2 days. Now I can make the same amount last 2 weeks. I still have candy canes left over from Christmas. Tracking my calories definitely helps because I have a reason to stretch my food out so I don't go over, and now I'm able to enjoy my treats for an extended period of time. I work with a fantastic woman who is always going out for dinner and drinks with friends after work, and yet she's remarkably skinny. Her secret? She has the exact same thing for lunch every single solitary day. Turkey sandwich and an apple, no matter how stressed or busy or whatever other people are eating at the office. Her lunch is a turkey sandwich and an apple. It's taking something that was a variable, maybe 300 calories some days and 1300 other days, and instead of needing to adjust her plans around that, she turned it into a constant. I've been doing the same thing lately to some success. Now I still feel the need for some variability in my life, so instead of turkey, some days it's ham. And if I don't want an apple that day, it can be a banana, pear, or orange. But for me, it's still a very narrow framework. 1 sandwich and 1 piece of fruit. The guesswork is gone, and it's helping control some of my natural inclination to just run to Taco Bell and eat something awful. I work retail, and I notice what people put in their carts. For thinner people, it's what you'd think. Vegetables, skinless chicken breasts, fruits, eggs. For heavy people, cereal, frozen meals, candy, and diet soda. The one weird thing I noticed, thin people buy the regular soda, and heavier people buy diet soda. One thing I have learned about eating is that people who have their weight under control only eat as a means of sustenance. I eat for a variety of reasons outside of that. I eat to celebrate. I eat because it's Friday. I eat because it reminds me of this one time I ate this particular food item. I eat because appetizers are half off on Wednesdays, etc. I have an emotional connection to food, which is higher than the average person. Thin people don't eat completely different foods from most of us. They just have less reasons to eat it, which is related to portion control. Even now, I struggle with it. I ate half a donut because it was just there for free at work, but I realize that this habit takes a while to get rid of, so I practice mitigation and ease my way into it. Beautiful. Well, let's dive into the next chapter. People who have been both fat and skinny at some point in their adult lives, what is the biggest difference you experienced? Being fat, random things hurt, and everything you do is a chore. Even getting full nights of sleep aren't satisfying. Not fat, clothes look better, and getting new clothes is kind of fun instead of embarrassing. Strangers treat you way differently, and the sleep is much better. It just happened yesterday. My flight was delayed, and my layover went from an hour and a half to 9 minutes. I had to run 33 gates in 9 minutes wearing suit. I made it to the gate with seconds to spare, and the agent said if she didn't see me in 10 seconds, she was closing the door. I wouldn't have made it a year ago when I was 45 pounds heavier. People are nicer to skinny me than they are towards fat me. I came here to say exactly this. Skinny me gets introduced to people and they're immediately nice and interested in what I have to say. Fat me got introduced to people and they were indifferent or rude, and most of them didn't even attempt to listen to me. It's to the point where I noticed that even my friends are nicer to me. For example, my friends introduce me to people and start saying nice things about me when they never used to do that. I was kind of fat for a while and now I'm in super good shape. It's like the difference between flying economy and flying first class. People just treat you like a human being instead of like a problem they have to deal with. And not even because they might be attracted to me. I always get served quickly at bars now. I don't get yelled at as much for slacking off at work. If I want to bum a cigarette from folks hanging out outside the bar, someone will always give me one. It's almost surreal. Men who completely ignored me before when I was fat went out of their way to chat to me. Women would tell me I was lucky I was naturally slim, when in actual fact I lost 100 pounds through sheer hard work. Also, I never got over feeling uncomfortable eating in public. When I was in 9th grade, there was a school event thing that I put a lot of work and effort into. Some of the girls in my class were videoing it. Anyway, a few weeks later I finally get a copy of the video, and there's a huge chunk of it which was just them zooming in on me eating a chicken wing, and all giggling and making fun of me. I was fat, but nowhere near my highest weight at the time. Ever since then, I still can't eat in public without being really paranoid and comparing how much and how fast I eat to my friends. It royally screwed me up. What's worse is that my one friend from high school is still friends with those girls and tries to make me hang out with them now. I'm like, nah, I don't give a crap if we were all teenagers and they were being arseholes. I want nothing to do with them. It's amazing how much worse you feel as a fat person. You can feel your fat touching parts of your body it didn't used to, you get tired walking upstairs, your breathing is louder, you snore and feel like crap. And the worst part is, after a while, all of that just seems normal. I was 320 pounds. One day my father-in-law was watching American Ninja Warrior and I said, I bet I can do that. I started running, counting calories, biking, swimming, and lifting weights. Got down to 210 pounds. I could breathe better was the biggest difference. More energy, less pain in my hips and knees, more confidence. I used to weigh 250, now I fluctuate between 140 and 160. People averted their eyes and ignored me like I was invisible when I was fat, especially guys. People looked at me and smiled or tried to catch my eye when I was skinny, especially guys. To be honest, I sorta like being fat more for this reason. I used to get a lot of unwanted attention, which was horrifying for someone with anxiety. I haven't gotten an unsolicited banana pic in 4 years. It's sorta liberating. Being fat was fine because I didn't care what I ate. I had a long-term boyfriend, so I wasn't worried about dating. I had plenty of cute clothes, etc., but I had bad skin and I thought I was ugly. One day I decided I didn't want to be fat anymore, so I lost weight. I feel better now, but I really hate having to think about my food. My boyfriend still likes me the same, but I have much more energy now. My boyfriend did make me cry because a while back I said I was gonna sit on him and he said, if I die, I die. I got very upset because at that point I had lost 50 pounds and spent months getting to that point. I was 10 pounds BMI overweight. He went at it as a joke, but when you're losing weight, your body image consumes your life. It's hard to be fat, and it's hard to be skinny. When I was much thinner, nobody took me seriously. Like I was too cute to be intelligent. At a fat weight, people ignored me, didn't look me in the face as often, almost like they were afraid being fat was contagious. Right in the middle, where I am now, has been the best. People take me seriously, I feel good, I look good, and people make eye contact more often. Are you a woman? I've seen multiple comments now about people not getting taken seriously when they were thin, and I can't imagine that happening to a thin guy in my workplace, though I can't really imagine it happening to a woman either, but I can't speak for how my coworkers might treat someone. Yes, I am. Your assumption and observations are totally accurate. A few years ago, I was 102 pounds soaking wet, and literally only 1 pound away from being unhealthily skinny according to BMI charts. Now I'm close to 200 pounds. My weight has always fluctuated between high and low, so at first I wasn't concerned until I noticed stretch marks on my gut. I've started walking circuits around the lake in the local park. Best case scenario, I lose weight. Worst case scenario, I gain weight slower than before. I'm a short adult male, 5'2", and at my heaviest I was 200 pounds. I had multiple chins and fat fingers. Nobody ever called me fat. Now that I've lost 50 to 60 pounds and I'm closer to my high school weight, I've been told I look sick or too skinny or to eat a sandwich. Could just be my area/circle of people, but it's more noticeable than anything else to me. I keep being told to eat potatoes or a burger, and I'm wondering, why don't they just give me one? I love free food. I'm going to make a shirt that says, "Too thin, please feed me," and really capitalize on this whole thing. Weight has swung 100 to 150 pounds back and forth between the 200s and 300 pounds. The biggest thing I noticed when thinner was people touch me more while talking. Back pats, shoulder pats, etc. I lost a huge amount of weight over the course of a year, probably a bit too much weight for my frame size, but I had a goal and I was hell-bent on achieving it. When I was fat, people carefully avoided mentioning things about it around me. When I was skinny, people suddenly considered me a fitness expert and wanted to ask me questions about how to lose weight. Nobody wanted to hear my answer though. Keep your calorie count low and exercise for 30 minutes every day. Many people would claim I was lying. I had stomach surgery, I got lipo, I had an ED. Anything but consistent diet and exercise. It was terribly insulting, but I understood where it was coming from. Me being able to lose weight so easily was a slap in the face to their years-long struggle to get rid of their post-baby or post-beer belly. I did have a funny standout moment. One day I was all dressed up for family pictures and decided to go antiquing afterwards. That day was the day I was most respected by strangers in my entire life. It was pretty cool having people go out of their way to treat me nice. Now that I'm somewhere in the middle of average overweight American, people just treat me normal. More energy, better sleep, better confidence, more attention and respect from people, the list goes on. I went from being clinically obese to a healthy weight in 1 year. I'm 36 now, but I feel like I'm back in my 20s again. Employers that offered me positions as a tall, thin, fairly attractive college student won't even give me a call back as a fat, middle-aged woman with experience in their field. When I swapped my LinkedIn profile pic for a pic of me in college and obviously thinner, both the number of connections and the interviews drastically increased. Fat, 340, to skinny, 166, to fit, 195, at 5'11". All phases are different. While you're fat, you're physically ignored, so you have to be very charming to be able to network. When you're skinny, people are nicer. When you're fit, everybody thinks that you are dumb or only think about the gym. But I'd still choose to be fit over fat or skinny. Becoming skinny fat. I lost a bunch of weight a few years ago and I've luckily managed to keep it off. The biggest difference is the remaining self-conscious and negative thoughts about my body, as well as the subconscious fear of gaining weight again. I love food, I love to eat, and I also love exercise, but I'm still uncomfortable taking my shirt off. I still feel like I look fat. I don't have a ton of muscle, and I'm trying hard to stick to a weightlifting routine and also cutting back on running as much as I used to. But I still don't eat as much as I should be, especially to be building muscle and keeping it. I just feel fat, and I hate how I look and wish I could change it. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. I made a list of embarrassing reasons I need to lose weight. I'm a 5'2" female, age 23, and I weighed 233 pounds at the start of my weight loss journey. I have since lost 8 pounds my first week, and I decided to write a list of embarrassingly real reasons I need to lose weight. This does not mention the countless health benefits of eating well and exercising regularly, but I thought I would post this list so you might be able to relate to it, and maybe we might not feel so alone in our weight loss journeys together. 1. Not being able to shave down there. 2. Out of breath dressing and can't reach to put my socks on. 3. Hard to roll over in bed. 4. Constant knee and backache. 5. Struggle to change tampons in toilet cubicles. 6. Not being able to order clothes easily online and filtering until there is a fraction of choices left. 8. Double chin when laying down. 9. Sweat patches in places that healthy people don't sweat, back, rolls, etc., when it's not even warm. And 10. Waking up bloated. Trying to squeeze past somewhere, knocking something over, and everyone looking, whilst you wish for the earth to open up and swallow you. Good luck, you got this. Ugh, and that first time you underestimate your size and bump something you didn't think you were even that close to. Yep, followed by a how, and then the sad realization sets in. I left a bag of mini Kit Kats in my car, and they all melted into one big gross glob of chocolate and wafer. Instead of throwing them out or putting them in the fridge to solidify, I just stuck my whole hand in the bag and started licking my hand like Winnie the Pooh eating a jar of honey. That was a rough one. Knowing I was ready to eat my next meal, not when I was hungry, but when I was no longer extremely uncomfortably full. I used to eat an entire box of cosmic brownies nearly every day. I always refused to look at the nutrition information because I didn't want to know what I was doing. I just did, and there's 290 calories per brownie, so 1,740 for a whole box. And that's more than I eat in a day now. I blamed my weight gain on pregnancy, hormones, birth control, you name it. But how dare you suggest that my eating habits are at fault? Worrying that I wouldn't get enough when ordering fast food. I loved eating my roommate's leftovers. Once a roommate went on a trip, and I mixed and ate a whole Costco box of her Ghirardelli brownie mix. She was so pissed at me. I also cringe at how long I would try to squeeze into pants that no longer fit, as though it wasn't noticeable. I broke a few zippers this way. Denial is rough. Eating entire bags of pizza rolls, washing it down with regular Mountain Dew, and then following it up with 3 bags of candy. I used to come home from work and eat like half a bag of pizza rolls before my partner came home, and then eat regular dinner with him like a normal person. Secret eating was probably the hardest thing to overcome, because if no one sees you demolish 2,000 calories in one sitting, it doesn't count, right? Thank you for sharing some of these embarrassing moments. I think we all have a few too many that we'd like to admit. Here are a few recent ones from the last year in my personal worst category. I went to the store to start a new diet plan before getting serious about losing weight. I was hungry, not a good idea, when I went, and bought a large bag of M&Ms, a bag of cookies, and some Takis brand spicy avocado chips. Went home, laid in bed while watching fitness channels, and ate every single thing I picked up at the store. Ordered a family-sized pizza from a local pizza chain that usually has a lot of families inside. I picked up my to-go order, and the employee said, "Oh, do your kids love loaded meat pizzas as much as mine?" I nodded yes, and headed out the door to devour my whole pizza that evening. I saw a half-eaten bag of chips in my backseat floorboard while finally cleaning my car out. I thought I'd throw them away and put them in the garbage bag with the rest of the debris from my car, mostly chip bags, soda bottles, and candy wrappers. I then proceeded to dig the chip bag out of the garbage and eat it while in my car, feeling sorry for myself. Yo, the spoonful of sugar is too real though. I wasn't dangerously obese, but damn, these things made me feel so good and so bad at the same moment. I would eat what I consider a whole meal just before coming home to my mother, who made me lunch. I would eat tons of bread without even thinking. Sugary tea until it doesn't taste like tea anymore. Same for coffee. And now I can finally distinguish between a crappy espresso and a good espresso. I have to say that for someone who loves food so much, I never knew what anything tasted like until I started dieting. Oh god, do I relate to the photo one. Right down to literally hiding in the bathroom when group photos were being taken until I felt it was safe. Also, wearing trousers with big holes worn into the thighs for way too long, thinking no one could tell. Believing that not being able to get a seatbelt across my body was because the car was cheap or old. Eating whatever the frig I wanted after an hour of floundering from one side of the pool to the other because I must have burned 5,000 calories, right? Eating 2 full meals, spaghetti and meatballs in a row because I was still hungry, literally within minutes of each other. And drinking golden syrup right from the bottle. Just friggin' yikes. Incontinence. I've developed incontinence at 22. I've never said that out loud. The change starts today. One day or day one, you decide. Best of luck with your journey. I've lost over 60 pounds, and I never noticed how much I struggled to shave down there until I lost the weight and was able to do it in a flash. Non-scale victories, they're honestly just as big a part of your journey as the scale ones. Not wanting to post any pictures on social media because no one can recognize me anymore and getting those OMG what happened to you comments. I feel you on this, so much to the point that I don't even have Snapchat or Instagram anymore. If I catch an old friend in public, I don't say hi because I'm embarrassed by my weight gain. Being the only fat friend and have all my friends get hit on besides me. I know it's petty, but I really want boys to hit on me too, or not the obvious fat friend. Thigh chafing. Holy crap, I've lost enough weight that I can now run several miles on a very hot day in shorts without getting the dreaded inner thigh chafe. I'll always have big thighs that touch, but not getting the chub rub is a game changer. I relate to number 5 so much. I feel bad for using the handicap stalls, but I can't do it otherwise. I'll add in some of my own embarrassing reasons. It's hard to bend down to pick something up and to come back up after bending down. Trying on new clothes at stores makes me out of breath and hot. Torrid has fans in the dressing room for this reason, and I'm embarrassed about it, lol. I can't do certain mech positions. When I walk in a hall, passerbys pretty much hug the wall. The last time this happened, a girl actually threw herself at the wall, scraping against it as I passed her, and I felt like crap the rest of the day. Choosing between buying clothes without trying them on, or needing a shower after trying to get a pair of jeans on and feeling hot and sticky for the rest of the shopping trip. Buying shoes without laces because you can't bend over your belly to tie them. Looking for a really wide parking space because you can't squeeze out the door between cars and need to open the door wide. Declining to dance with friends in a bar because you know you'll be dripping with sweat after one song. Constantly touching up your makeup when dressed up as you have a sweat mustache and the foundation is sliding off your face. When my friends wanted to go to places in town, I would secretly check my phone to see if I could handle the walk. It wasn't a big town. If it was uphill a lot or more than half an hour walk, I would come up with an excuse. I also always happened to be too busy for clothes shopping. I'll add to this, sweating after a shower, so it takes forever to get dry enough to put my clothes on. Just sweating all the friggin' time. Not being flexible anymore because the extra fat limits my range of motion. Not being able to sleep on my back because the extra weight bearing down on my chest and stomach makes it hard to breathe. Good luck on your journey. We got this. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. Normal weight Redditors with a spouse who became obese. How do you handle it? I'm going to weigh in on this one. See what I did there? Because I'm seeing a lot of backlash against people who say, I left my spouse, would leave my spouse, told them to lose the weight because it's a turnoff, etc. I'm a skinny chick who married a fat guy. I love him to death, think he's mexy as hell, etc. Here's the thing. He was fat when I met him. He was fat when I dated him. He was fat when I married him. And he will most likely be fat for the rest of his life. That's the difference. He put the same amount of effort into his appearance when we first met as he currently does now, a decade later. There are many things that can cause obesity. Depression can, and a low thyroid can, and all that. But theoretically, if you got depression, and depression causes you to overeat, you're going to be obese at the beginning of the relationship. Because that's you. But if you're a normal weight all your life, then you get settled, and then your relationship with food changes, now that's something altogether different. TLDR, being a fat person is a different thing than suddenly becoming a fat person once someone marries you. Feel free to call me a piece of crap. Love is not blind acceptance. It's about mutual respect and being able to agree to disagree with each other. You respect the other's choice and deal with it as best you can. Your standards can't go out the window just because you love someone though. If someone's changes are extreme enough, it is unreasonable to expect them to still hold the person with such regard. My girlfriend is not skinny, 240 pounds, and she knows I don't like her being as big as she is. I don't mock her in any way, and I find her plenty attractive still. I love her and I support her, but if she gained another 100 pounds, I would not want to be with her because it shows how little self-respect she has for herself. If she doesn't have that respect for herself, then how can she possibly give it back? I wouldn't love her any less, but I know I would become very unhappy. It's a two-way street, and your happiness matters equally as much as hers. My wife gained quite a bit of weight after each kid. She isn't as mexy as when we first met, but I still love her. And I still find her attractive because I love her. It is what it is. If she gets tired of it, she will lose it. She should decide to lose the weight for herself, not for me, so I don't pressure her at all. My first wife did this. Not only did she get big, but she wore unflattering clothing to go with it. It was really embarrassing and I couldn't bring myself to walk next to her in public. It was actually pretty sad. Thankfully, she ended up being a bad person and I was able to get away from the entire situation without feeling bad about it. My ex was a big guy when we dated and married. I never minded. He was my teddy bear. But after a few years, he put on more weight. He wasn't working, which was also a huge strain on our marriage, his inability to hold a job, and basically he sat around playing video games all day. The more weight he gained, the louder he snored. It got to be awful. He sounded like a broken chainsaw. You could hear him several rooms away and over the TV at a normal volume. You could hear him outside, even if all the windows were closed. I'm a light sleeper, so it became impossible for me to sleep in the same room with him. I started sleeping in the guest room, and even then, I needed earplugs. He felt hurt that I wouldn't share a bed with him anymore, but I was working 2 jobs to support us and needed my rest. He finally saw a doctor about the snoring because it was causing him health problems. He was tired all the time because the snoring was interfering with his sleep. The doctor was adamant, lose the weight. He refused. I took that as a sign that he didn't care about improving a relationship or his health. I left him. Beautiful. Well, let's dive into the next chapter. Formerly obese Redditors, what was the most surprising or unexpected change after losing weight? I need a coat in the winter. I never knew what cold was. Live in New England, always wore jeans, no gloves, a baseball hat, and a hoodie everywhere. Now it's like double gloves, long underwear, a heavy jacket, earmuffs, and scarves. I found bones and muscles I didn't know I had. Didn't realize my ankle was a tiny bone instead of this huge fleshy lump. People talked about fat people around me without first giving me the mildly apologetic "I'm going to talk about your type" look, which was quite an eye-opener to hear what people would say when no fat people were around. Friends used to tell me, "You're not that fat, you look 140. I was friggin' 260 pounds. But I had never been skinny, so I had no reason not to believe them, just assuming normal women must have been 100 to 120 pounds maximum. I can't even pick up how much weight I've lost and carry it around. I have no idea how I used to walk, but then I noticed I no longer sweat like a pig. I've lost 190 pounds over about 3 years, 415 to 225. Still working on dropping a bit more. Everything is better. I don't feel like crap all the time. I don't eat Tums constantly. I actually eat a better variety and more interesting foods than I did when I was fat. Obviously, I do better with women. I actually feel a bit smarter, and I no longer feel like I need to sleep 10 hours a day. There's only 2 things that are annoying. 1, having to buy all new clothes. Wearing clothes that fit right still feels a bit weird because I always wore loose-fitting stuff when I was bigger. I also have no good style ideas. And 2, I actually feel cold in the winter now. I gave up on trying to lose weight and just started permanently changing my diet to lower my blood pressure. My clothes just started to get really baggy and I thought I just wore them out with my fat bum. I didn't realize I was losing weight until I was down probably 30 pounds. I just got under 200 pounds for the first time since high school 5 weeks ago. I knew the loose skin would happen. I knew people would treat me better. I knew that I would have more energy and a better Mex life. But the thing that really changed? I'm happier. Even before I realized the pounds were coming off, I started noticing that stuff that would have stressed me out beyond compare just didn't affect me. I can't really explain it, but on average, I was just suddenly and constantly perky. I'm happy and I feel more clean. I don't get gross sausage sweats from climbing upstairs, and I'm always smiling. I just feel good. Everyone seems happier to see me, which is kind of friggin' annoying. To be fair, this also happens if you're incredibly plain looking and then put on makeup. People are always so weirdly happy to meet you, but normally no strangers would come up and happily start talking to you. 5'11", late 20s male, and I lost 30 pounds after weighing about 200 pounds. 70% of people tell me I look amazing, and the rest tell me I am too skinny and I should see a doctor. Can't make everyone happy apparently. However, I feel great, so that's all that matters. Same thing happened to me. I was 5'11" and weighed 200 pounds and lost 50 pounds. Even though my body weight was healthy, my family still harped on me for being too thin. Two things I didn't expect: better skin and hair. My skin complexion cleaned up. I used to have those spots on my triceps and shoulders that disappeared, and my hair was healthier and not as limp. People started laughing at my jokes. It taught me how your appearance/status really matters when it comes to people deciding how to react to what you say and do. Jokes tend to have more of an impact when you don't pause halfway through to eat a pie. I've lost around 10 stone, 140 pounds. One thing I've noticed is that people are generally more nice to me. When I'm queuing in a shop, people will stand nearer to me rather than a couple of feet away as if I'm diseased. People smile at me as I walk by. It's sad, as I'm still the same person as before. After losing 125 pounds, I am apparently very attractive, and my donger is like 2 inches longer. Can't complain, although I'm still kind of in denial about it. Girls hitting on me is a total shocker. Edit, my leg muscles are stupidly big from carrying all that weight around. I think my calves have a six-pack. I lost 100 pounds. The most surprising thing to me was that I didn't get mistaken for someone else anymore. When you're 300 plus pounds, all people see is the fat. So all fat people look alike. This may be too far for people to read, but the thing I've most noticed is people got mean. I notice most people say that everyone treated them better, and I wonder if that's a result of most of them being dudes. I'm a lass, and I now weigh 110 pounds after losing 70, and I'm small framed, so it was a noticeable 70. Yeah, people got nicer and friendlier too. I definitely got hit on more. Being able to just buy clothes without worrying about the fit was great, and salespeople definitely got nicer. I gained a ton of confidence from it. But friends, family, and especially older women got snide about it. People would make fun of my diet. If I ate a salad, I was If I ate a Big Mac, it was scoffs and, man, someone's lucky. If I go clothes shopping with any of my friends, I get, well, you're basically a coat rack, you can pull off anything. Boys think it's acceptable to pick me up because I am presumably so skinny I must be weightless. I actually feel uncomfortable in tight clothes and swimwear in public now for completely opposite reasons. People are constantly pointing out my lack of curves or any joint bone that's visible. I've gotten more negative comments about my body now than I ever did when I was overweight. I lost 140 pounds. The biggest surprise was finding it that I wasn't fat because I was lazy. I've been overweight for most of my life, and it always felt like a moral failing. I was a lazy person, so therefore I was fat. Having lost the equivalent of a person, I now realize that being that fat makes you lazy. It hurts to walk, to stand, to live. No wonder all I wanted to do was sit down or sleep. At the end of a day of work, I was exhausted. Imagine going through your life carrying around another person. It doesn't take much to wear a person out. And it's a vicious circle. You don't want to move because it hurts, so you get fatter and fatter. It was only since I lost all this weight that I realized that I'm not a bad person. I'm not a lazy person. Being lazy didn't make me fat. I was lazy because I was fat. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. At what point did you look at yourself or your life and think, I really need to make a change? The times that I remember that I'm the person that hates me the most. The most important thing I've been told, learn to like yourself because you'll be spending most of the time with that person. Don't know if it is as life-altering for anyone else, but for me, it was profound. Sunday, July 8th, 2018. My 5-year-old daughter looked at me and said, "Daddy, you're fat." It hurt, but it was true. I replied, "You're right. I should do something about it, huh?" Downloaded MyFitnessPal the next day, and I'm down 29 pounds so far. The turning point in my life was when my fingers were so fat that I could no longer do the thing where I stuck my fingers in the middle of the donut without the donut falling apart. Also, I got diabetes. I was a sophomore in high school getting a physical. The family doctor told me, "This is really bad. Do you know what you're doing to yourself? At your age, the negatives are amplified because you're still growing." Then he went on to tell me about the terrible, long-lasting effects of obesity on the human body. He even described doing normally simple surgery on someone who was obese and just how much riskier and difficult it is for the surgeon. Honestly, he scared the heck out of me. I knew I was a fat kid, but I didn't realize I was obese. He gave me some advice. The biggest one was to stop drinking soda. He told me that 1 can a day for a year was enough calories to add 30 pounds of fat. When I walked up 2 flights of stairs and couldn't hold a conversation when I got to the top, I was a former cross-country champ. I said frig that and got back in shape. Never looked back. I still have a ways to go, but I'm down to 196 pounds from 280. And it's rather vain, but it was when I noticed my hairline receding. Can't be bald and fat. I saw a picture of myself. I was just barely in the obese range, but I decided to do something about it. And now I've lost enough weight to be just barely in the overweight range. A few more pounds to go, and I'll be right where I need to be. I knew I needed to lose weight my whole adult life. It finally got real in my mid-30s when I literally got up every day thinking it was going to be my last day alive. I can't pinpoint one specific trigger, but something in my head finally clicked one day. And today, I'm down nearly 300 pounds from my heaviest, and my life bears no resemblance to what it used to be. My knees hurt all the time. I'd just given birth to twins, so I was going from sitting to standing a lot, and every single time, the pain in my knees was unbearable. I was only 23 at the time, and I felt like I was in my 70s. I read that your knees carry the equivalent of 4 times your body weight in pressure, and at 254 pounds, that was not an easy pill to swallow. It also helped that I made this realization on the same weekend I had a terrible photo of me on Facebook, so I started my weight loss right away. Within a year, I lost 93 pounds. After my wife died, and I became a single parent to 2 children, 7 and 10, who needed me to not die of a heart attack for at least 11 years. Topped out at 349, currently 160. After my second chair at work broke, a guy in my last office job would go through a chair per year. After his 4th year, they ended up ordering him this massive chair that has giant steel rods going out the back, and he hopefully won't break. Dude doesn't seem to understand that this is not a good thing. When you're fat enough to break multiple chairs to the point where the company has to spend thousands on a throne for you to hopefully not break and get injured. I couldn't ride the roller coasters at Six Flags with my nephew. I lost 112 pounds over the next year. I went to a theme park in Japan, and they had a fat test seat. If they thought you looked too fat, they'd pull you out of line, sit you in this chair, and test to see if the lap bar would lock down properly. It was mortifying. Still technically obese, but not morbidly so anymore. I met and fell in love with the most wonderful, caring, and amazing woman I've ever known. She saw through my relatively unattractive exterior and fell for me too. One day she looked at me and told me though she found me attractive, she was extremely worried about my eating habits, my weight, and my lifestyle. She told me she finally found the man she wanted to spend her life with, that makes her happier than she ever believed she could be, and her best friend, but she was terrified that I was going to eat myself into an early grave. That instead of 40 plus years together, I'd be dead by 40. The pain in her eyes was beyond gut-wrenching for me to see. It wasn't an ultimatum. It wasn't done out of spite, but it was excruciating nonetheless, for both of us. I knew in that moment that I had to change. She deserved better. I deserved better. And the idea of leaving her behind due to something that was completely in my control was unacceptable to me. It's been 5 months and I've lost 80 pounds. Which is halfway to my goal. She's still with me, and she's still my inspiration. I'm lucky enough to have found the type of love I never thought existed, and I'll be damned if I'm ever going to squander it. A few days after Thanksgiving 2017, I was eating a McRib at 2 a.m., and I felt utterly disgusted at 365 pounds. I threw away the sandwich and knew immediately my life had changed. I instantly gave up fast food, and within a week, I gave up all soda, even diet soda. A few months later, I joined a gym and added cardio and weightlifting to my routine. 8 months later, and I'm down to 280 and dropping rapidly. I was never quite your size, but dropped from 270 to 180 and now maintain around 210. Your calves are going to be amazing. Keep up the hard work and it'll pay off. You got this. I was 312 pounds, and I couldn't put on a piece of clothing that used to be far too big for me. I bawled my eyes out for a few hours, and then made a plan. It's taken a bit over 4 years, but I now weigh 132 pounds. My pants went from size 28 to size 6. I used to buy 3X dresses, now a small has too much room in the waist. I still feel like a big girl inside, so seeing the numbers on the scale or tag really hammers it home for me. How did you achieve your weight loss? An awesome story. Congrats on losing more than half your weight. Thank you so much. I started out by cutting down my portions. Then I added exercise whenever I could. Once I got a handle on that, I started calorie counting. It was a big shock to see how many calories I was eating a day. I log my food every day. It's boring, but worth it. Got approached by a really attractive Mormon man who wanted to talk to me about God, and realized that it was the closest I had been to a cute stranger looking at me in years. And the Mormon guy thought I was going to hell. I passed through various points that I thought for sure would be red lines, which were actually not. Started snoring? Not enough. Could no longer buy pants at Sears? Still insufficient. Can't buckle the seatbelt on airlines? Still no. Becoming fatter than Homer Simpson when he went on a special diet to become fat enough for disability? Shockingly, no. For me, it was not a moment precisely. It was doing cognitive behavioral therapy and realizing that I overeat in large part because I felt like eating food I like whenever I wanted was the only thing I had control over in my life, but realized it is not really control if I'm not in control of my own impulses. So I started to experiment, first with small changes and then with larger ones. In the process, I found that I felt less like crap than I had in some time, which has encouraged me to continue. I didn't want to get my wedding ring resized. I lost 100 pounds over the next year or so. I've gained quite a bit back after my daughter was born, but still down about 50 from the highest. It's a constant struggle. This actually just happened to me within the last month. A little boy at the park asked my 4-year-old why his mom was so fat. A couple days later, my son said, "Mom, did you know you're fat?" Obviously, I'm not sure he understands that's hurtful to say, but then we were at a water park waiting in line for a log ride, and he asked me if I would fit on the ride, several times loudly. I'm determined to get this weight off now. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. No, your friends aren't just naturally skinny. I just wanted to share something that happened the other day, and I think it highlights a popular myth. I don't expect that many people in r/lose it believe it, but I thought it might be useful to point it out anyway. I have a couple of coworkers, let's call them Allison and Kate, and they constantly complain about being too skinny and not being able to gain weight. This is particularly annoying because they both know that I'm losing weight and it's a daily struggle. So for someone to just go, "I don't know, I guess I've got a high metabolism," that's really annoying. So I sat down with Kate and Allison the other day and we talked about what we had to eat the day before and what we eat on a typical day. This is obviously anecdotal, but I just wanted to show you what they eat before you buy into this "I'm just naturally skinny" idea. Allison, breakfast, Starbucks black coffee. Lunch, cucumber salad with a light splash of vinaigrette dressing. Dinner, stuffed peppers. Kate, breakfast, wasn't hungry. Lunch, Chick-fil-A grilled chicken wrap. Mid-afternoon snack, Snickers bar. Dinner, salmon and a salad. These two, who ostensibly can't gain weight, are making healthy food choices and don't often indulge, but they rant about how they are super underweight and can't gain. Please don't fall into that "I'm naturally skinny, I'm naturally fat" mentality. No one is born skinny or fat. You are what you eat and how much you eat. Yes, my best friend has always been small and thin, and I used to think that she was just lucky because when I hung out with her, we would eat the same things. But then I went on vacation with her and took note of how she ate. If she had a big meal, she would have no problem skipping her next one or even 2 meals. She almost never finished her plate, and she would normally order a side of vegetables or fruit instead of fries. She also started feeling sick towards the end of the trip after eating out so much, which caused her to choose to eat salads for the most part at that point. Things like this aren't very noticeable, but they make a huge difference in your calorie intake. I agree. My best friend has always been a healthy weight. She claims to eat whatever she wants, but I've never known someone who wants carrots that much. We are just wired differently. I claim to be naturally neat, but really, I'm just always picking up without even thinking of it, whereas she gets really overwhelmed and shuts down and ends up with piles everywhere. I was wired to KonMari, she was wired to choose carrots. It's been helpful to remove the moralization that I was doing and just realize that the stuff that both of us struggle with is actually really simple, as long as we push past the demons that complicate things. I've been in maintenance mode for 6 months now. 35 female, 5'4", 125 pounds. Lost 25 pounds, then I moved to a new state. People here aren't aware of my weight loss and assume I've always been this size. Had one mom at the playground say, "I bet you were one of those women who were skinny pregnant." And nope, I was 200 pounds when I gave birth. I tried to tell her it was Seiko and she didn't believe me. I recently lost 40 pounds after starting just over 200 as a 6'1" man, and I'm in the best shape of my life. I recently moved several states away, and it's amazing how people just think of me as that skinny guy or the thin guy at work. They have no idea. I agree. My fiance always claims that he can't gain weight and eats rubbish, but he just doesn't eat anything all day and then suddenly he's hungry and orders pizza. He also has a way better relationship with food. I assume born from never having that much money as a kid, food was just fuel, not treats or comfort or something to do when bored like it was for me. He's lucky in that way then. I was dirt poor as a kid, and that's why I have so many issues with food. I spent so many years hungry literally all the time, eating only free school lunch, empty cupboards at home, etc. And now the feeling of hunger and seeing empty cabinet space drives me insane. I'm getting out of that mindset, but it's hard. I've come to realize that naturally thin people just have a stronger intuition towards what they need to eat to maintain their weight. Even if they eat high-calorie meals, they end up making up for it, even if they do this subconsciously. They're not naturally skinny, but they did get lucky their brain never learned to cope through food. That was pure luck, just like it would be luck if they were naturally skinny, if that thing existed. Most of us got our emotional eating coping habits in childhood, and it got rooted inside us, and now we need huge efforts to rewire our brains. Or they put in effort and learn to rewire their brains at an earlier age. Don't assume people that are skinny now never struggled with weight. I had a new colleague around 1 month who told me I am lucky to be naturally skinny because she didn't know I lost around 35 pounds in the last 4 months. Naturally skinny, I think, is still a valuable idea, but not literally. Most of the issue is to do with habits, and even some have to do with genetic and psychosocial factors that change your relationship with food. It's all calories in and calories out. A naturally skinny person simply does not have the drive or habits to eat a lot, and they probably have habits that burn calories, such as standing, walking, and exercise. Naturally fat people have a high drive to eat. Maybe food gave you comfort as a kid. Maybe you have ED tendencies. Maybe you have impulse issues beyond what most people would consider volitionally controllable. It's stuff like that. Our hardware is mostly the same. It's a software issue. But that should be a hopeful thing. It means that if you can replace or override your software, you can be whatever weight you want. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. Morbidly obese people of Reddit, exactly what did you eat today? Ugh, I'm ashamed to write this even in the privacy of a throwaway, but I wanted to add another honest answer. I'm a 26-year-old girl, 5'7", 280 pounds. Here's an example. Breakfast, coffee with a lot of flavored creamer, something sweet, 2 Pop-Tarts, some sugary cereal, chocolate milk, etc. Snack, can of Mountain Dew. Lunch, 44-ounce Diet Pepsi, bean burrito, chips, and queso. Dinner, entire pint of ice cream, sometimes with candy added. Snack, crackers, way more than a serving, chocolate milk or juice. It makes me feel really crappy, and I usually eat crap in my room or in my car. I'm around 330 pounds, and here is my true diet that I don't like admitting. Normally wake up, don't have anything for breakfast. After being awake for a while, I eat any leftover takeout if there is any. Normally is since I go out 3 to 4 times a week, or a sandwich / something frozen I could cook. Throughout the day, play little league / schoolwork whilst drinking a couple of cans of pop. Dinner consists of something frozen like chicken wings, craft dinner, takeout, or when I feel like cooking, a steak / chicken breast. Then eat a full bag of chips or bag of candy and call it a night. It's sickening, but it's the truth. Before my surgery, it was very sporadic, anywhere between 2,500 to 5,000 calories a day with 0 exercise. Definitely a lot of soda though, that was about the only constant. How you feel about being heavy. As you get bigger, you start marking things off the list that you can do. You're not very conscious of it until you get into the morbidly part. By then, you have little motivation to want to do anything, out of the thought that you probably can't anyway. Plus, you just assume everyone is judging you and is disgusted with you. You really want to get out of the funk and lose the weight. The most maddening thing to hear is, "Put down the fork, fatty." Oh, great concept. How have we not tried that yet? That's genius. How is anyone even fat? I was formerly 363 pounds, 6'2". I'll tell you what my diet typically consisted of back then. Gigantic bowl of cereal and milk. Typically this was Cookie Crisps or Reese's cereal. Energy drink, preferably regular green Monster. After the sugar buzz from the energy drink faded, I usually felt awful because I had problems with my blood sugar. So in response to low blood sugar, I'd eat a candy bar and a soda, typically a Snickers and a Coke. Lunch was usually fast food. To keep myself from getting bored with eating fast food every day, I varied. Taco Bell, Whataburger, Burger King, occasionally McDonald's, Jack in the Box, and very occasionally Subway. Once the post-lunch sleepiness set in, a double Whopper with large fry and a large Coke will make you sleepy. I'd either drink another energy drink or maybe a little coffee with my heaps of sugar and creamer to power through. Once I crashed from the sugar buzz of that energy drink or sugar-laden coffee, I obviously had to intake more sugar to regulate my blood sugar, or so my thought process was. So down some cookies or a Snickers and a Coke. Finally, home time. Get off of work, stop at a gas station, pick up a bag of chips and a Mountain Dew for the 30-minute trek home. Waddle up the single flight of stairs to get to my apartment. At the top of the stairs, take a breather, then get into the house. Dinner was usually stuff I had in the fridge, a whole DiGiorno pizza, for example. Or since I can actually cook, I'd make a rice and gravy, Cajun food consisting of very fatty meat, cooked, and gravy made from the drippings and placed over rice. Or fry my own chicken. Oh, and another Coke, or two if I polish one off. Time to game. In preparation for a few hours of intense World of Warcraft grinding, Mountain Dew and chips, Doritos, spicy nacho, at least a half of a large bag. Repeat every day. No exercise. A family member is 6'3" and pushing past the 400-pound mark quickly. I spent a weekend with him a few weeks ago. Here was Saturday. Breakfast, 5 cups of coffee with 3 tablespoons of coffee-made powder per cup, 1 roll of 10 biscuits, flour, plus sausage gravy covering each, about 1 pound sausage, 1/3 gallon milk, and 1 stick of butter. Snack, 3 donuts, chocolate Long Johns, plus 2 Pepsis. Lunch, 2 ham sandwiches plus cheese and 1 large bowl of chili, 2 Pepsi. Snack, 1/4 of a 1 pound bag of pretzels, 1 Pepsi, and 1 cup of coffee plus mate. Dinner, 3 pork steaks covered in barbecue sauce, 2 ears corn on the cob, baked beans, salad, iceberg lettuce covered in half a cup of French dressing plus shredded cheddar, baked potato plus cheese plus 2 tablespoons sour cream, 3 pads of butter, 1 Pepsi, and 1 small bottle of water. Dessert, 4 inches by 4 by 3 piece of cake plus 2 cups of milk, and before bed was 2 donuts. In addition, his regular on the way home from work snack is 1 Big Mac meal supersized with Coke and 2 cheeseburgers. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. What's the hardest part of weight loss? 2 things. You will make every excuse to fail yourself. Also, most people around you will, on purpose or not, sabotage you. I've lost around 55 pounds. I think the biggest misconception that people have is that you can achieve permanent results with temporary changes. Your body is the result of your lifestyle. If you want a permanent change of your body, you need a permanent change of your lifestyle. Also, people need to understand that soda is basically liquid candy and not a beverage. Drink 2 to 3 cups of water every meal you eat, and drink less alcohol. You get fit in the gym and slim in the kitchen. You'll fail multiple times before you succeed. You'll break your diet, you'll fall out of your exercise routine, you may even get frustrated after not immediately seeing results and decide to quit. Keep going. Everyone struggles, everyone falls, but only those who get back up will succeed. Good luck. This is the biggest truth. If you slip up, don't give up. This is a long-term change, so don't let a short-term setback make you quit. If you cheat on your diet by accident, don't eat like crap for the rest of the day because you ruined your diet. A 195 calorie donut isn't going to kill your diet, but a huge 3,000 calorie splurge day will. LOL 3,000 calorie splurge. You gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. But seriously, one 3,000 calorie day isn't going to kill a diet. 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories, and 3,000 calories is probably only 1,000 calories over your TDEE. Starvation and denial are not a solution. When you make foods good and bad, then the slip-ups and mistakes come with extra judgment, portion size, and considering what and how you eat. For me, I lost 80 kilograms. I switched to a side plate for my meals. I also don't do treat days or treat meals. I take the time to eat things I like, but not the whole box. For example, I have butter on my toast because now I have a slice of toast, not 3, so that 1 piece of toast I like to enjoy. Others have said the same. You'll screw it up. Don't let that screw up the whole process. Little changes have a big impact over time. So if it is a day where you switch soda for water, that's a win. If it is a day where you skip a second helping and box it up for lunch the next day, that's a win. Celebrate the wins where you can, but be kind to yourself. I've always struggled with weight. Recently I've made strides in losing some, but in the last 8 months I've gone from 310 to 250 pounds. The best advice I've got to give is to get into the habit of eating a small, low-carb breakfast and lunch. Have a slightly bigger dinner. You'll be burning most of your fat during the day if your body doesn't have any carbs to burn. It won't be easy. The first week will be the hardest. Your muscles will ache from using fat for energy instead of carbs, but it gets better. Always look for support from those close to you, and good luck. Make sure you're getting enough healthy protein so that you aren't constantly needing to snack between meals. Healthy shouldn't ever equal hungry. You should always feel satisfied, so make sure you're getting enough protein and healthy fats. Also, don't skip breakfast. Chia seeds are amazing at filling you up. Almond milk to make a chia pudding, and you can go well past lunch on a full belly. Brushing your teeth after dinner and fasting until breakfast is also helpful. My weight loss goal started at 280. In 6 months, I was 220. In 6 more months, I was 250. Just half a year later, I was 215. After that, it took me only 6 short months to reach 240, and then it was back to 210 and right back up to 240 over the course of about 6 months. That was 6 months ago, and currently I weigh 195. I guess what I'm saying is that success can take a while, and failure doesn't have to be permanent. I get bursts of self-control, and I try to take the most of them. It's a process that I'm still figuring out, but this is all borderline rhetoric. As for stuff that helps me lose weight, I found that it is extremely important to find a form of exercise that you actually enjoy doing. And there is one out there, whether you know it or not. For me, it has been hiking and disc golf, 2 things I can do endlessly without getting tired of them. I find that when I'm enjoying my exercise, not only is it no effort to do the work, but even the diet seems easier. Diet will always be the biggest part of your weight loss, but if you can devote even just an hour, 3 or 4 days a week, the weight loss from exercise is certainly not negligible. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill. I have to say I thought the hardest part of weight loss is losing friends, because they feel your fitness life has no room for you to socialize. Having to tell people that you're not getting too small or starving yourself to lose weight. You expect people to be happy for you, not skeptical of your methods. I was told at 330 pounds by friends I was thick, but the truth is I was fat, and I knew it. I didn't think I could do anything about it. No one I knew wanted to work out with me, but over the last 7 months, I have encouraged others and started a vlog on YouTube. At 97 pounds down, I now find that losing friends wasn't the hardest part. It's now having people's skepticism and criticism of how you can be doing better when you really want to say, shut up, I got this. Where were you when I was 330 pounds and hopeless? Oh, calling me healthy and thick. 1. The internal monologue. It is okay to eat a chocolate. I worked out so hard, I need to eat more. The internal monologue that keeps going while trying to eat healthy is insane. 2. I am studying for my exams right now, and every time I do a question wrong or get frustrated, I want to go back to eat something. 3. Explaining why you are not eating something in particular. I gave up ice cream this year cold turkey, and my roommate now jokes that I'm starving myself every day or have some sort of ED. When did not eating ice cream count as starving yourself? 4. Keeping yourself accountable. There are days when you just don't want to eat healthy or go to the gym or eat less, but you have to keep yourself disciplined enough to keep going and human enough to acknowledge that you are going to slip. Just get back to it the next day. Not beating yourself up is also a big challenge. 5. Between meal prep, grocery haul, and gym, you have less and less time to do Netflix binge or sometimes for friends too. It does get demotivating at times and I feel like, F this, I am out of here. The hardest thing about weight loss is consistency. You will be motivated to work out and eat healthy one day, and the next, it's like your mind is completely changed. It also sucks when you don't have much patience for results. Yes, results take time, but it can be a letdown when you work so hard and cannot see any changes. Weight loss gets easier when you get used to your new and healthier habits, but the journey just to get there is extremely hard in itself. As cliche and obvious as it sounds, just starting. starting to eat less, starting yoga, starting to walk, starting to cut back on soda, and starting to whatever. You can say that I should do this and I should do that all you want, and you can say that you want to lose weight because of X reason, but actually getting out of your office chair to do 5 squats while you're waiting for your game to load, or pouring yourself cereal and then pouring half of it back in the box, keeping the mentality that I can always do it next time is dangerous and keeps you stuck. Being able to have the impulse to do something right now and following through on it is some of the most difficult things for me. I just started my journey today on one of those impulses, and I can't wait to see how far I'll go. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. People who have been both fat and skinny at some point in their adult lives, what is the biggest difference you experienced? People tell me I look like Matt Damon instead of a friggin' meatloaf. Every chair is uncomfortable when you're skinny. I never realized how much cushioning I was carrying around on my backside until I lost it. As someone who's been skinny her whole life, this explains so much. I've honestly never thought of it until now. Now that I'm overweight, nobody comments on my weight, but when I was a teeny bit underweight, everyone commented on it. Friends would tell me I looked unhealthy, etc. Also, like someone else said, it really did feel loads better being thin. Yep, perpetually underweight guy here. I constantly get comments on it. If I hear, well, you can have some of mine one more friggin' time. I hate that too. I've been thin and petite my whole life, and complete strangers will say, OMG, WTF LOL, you're so tiny, want some of my extra fat? When I'm washing my hands in a public restroom at Disneyland. Mental state for sure. When I was overweight, I felt like my head was foggy all the time. I was depressed and sluggish, and I felt embarrassed to be seen in public, partially due to a personality disorder and partially due to just being mortified by how I looked in the very few clothes that fit me. I gained the last 30 pounds in the span of 6 months, and when I saw the stretch marks on my tummy, I realized how horrible I was to my body. Changed my diet and lost 61 pounds. Now that a lot of my issues have cleared up, personality disorders don't just go away. But man, can you cope with them so much better once you lose all that mental fog and added depression. The only downside is, once the list of issues starts dwindling down, you realize you have new ones, or at least uncovered a few you didn't know you had. People never say you've gained a lot of weight recently, but they absolutely do say you've lost weight, like a lot of it. Hello, lost over 200 pounds here. I am seeing a lot of comments about people being nicer to the skinnier version of themselves. While I believe that's a small part of it, I feel I was also a lot less approachable when I was fat. My confidence was crap. I am an introvert. I felt constantly aware of my body, and I already made assumptions of what they thought of me. I'm not 100% convinced it's the perception people have of your size, but your composure. It's harder to find fat clothes because larger women have a wider variety of where their fat gets displaced. 100% this. I found that most plus size shirts assume that you are apple shaped with absolutely no waist, and most plus size jeans assume you're an hourglass shape with a huge bum and a tiny waist. More men approached me as I got heavier. It makes little sense, but I think it is because I dressed better and wore makeup and stuff. Perhaps I just got better at recognizing flirting. Bizarrely, I got fewer negative comments about my weight when I was fat. Fat me never got a single comment made about my weight, but then I dropped 10 BMI points to a 21, got healthy, and then started getting, you're too skinny, you look gaunt, stop losing weight comments. Health-wise though, the difference is night and day. Activities that used to leave me sweaty and heaving with a stitch in my side now barely even bring my heart rate up. I was athletic and muscular for most of my life, gained a lot of weight in college, and now I'm skinnier than I ever was. When I was an athlete, I was made fun of because I had a mannish figure. Then when I was overweight, I was told that my appearance didn't matter and I was beautiful on the inside. No one ever complimented my looks, even when I dressed up. Now I'm too skinny for my own liking. Nothing I own fits me, and everyone I know rags on me for being so skinny. Nothing is acceptable to society no matter what you do, so frig 'em and be who you want to be. As long as you're happy and healthy and not hurting anyone, fine by me. I've been fat for so long, I've forgotten what normal people do. I rarely go to concerts or nights out, and I'm embarrassed to fly. I can't move or don't want to move because walking takes so much out of you. I make sure that 3 days a week, I do not need to leave the house. I get shamed a lot more for being skinny than I ever did being fat. I'm skinny and people, especially girls, pay a lot of attention to what I eat. One of my female coworkers used to ask me almost every day what I was eating for lunch, like she was monitoring how I stay skinny or something. If I eat unhealthy, like sweets, then damn, I'm lucky to have such a great metabolism. If I eat healthy, like a salad, then wow, how depressing to just eat salads all day to stay thin. All in all, I know I have nothing to complain about, but it's just interesting to note. I've noticed this in my office. All of the women feel the need to question what I brought for lunch and my portion sizes. I eat relatively healthy and I almost never eat takeout, but they go out to eat almost every day. But no, I'm not starving. Why? Because my meals are centered around lean protein and veggies, and I snack in between, usually on skyr, Greek yogurt, nuts, string cheese, or fruit, and I work out. Banana size for sure. I heard you lose an inch of banana for every 30 to 50 pounds you are overweight. You lose all of it because you can't see it anymore. I have always had a bit of a self-esteem issue. I have been 105 pounds and 200 pounds. The difference between being fat and skinny is when you say something jokingly self-depreciating about your appearance. They disagree with you when you're skinny. When you're fat, they just laugh. I've been fat my entire life. People don't want to do things with you. People aren't friendly towards you. You feel worthless about yourself, and it absolutely shows and affects your life outside your head. The good thing about being fat is, if you're introverted like me, it's pretty nice when no one wants to do anything with you. And also, when someone fancies you, they really do. I came down from 250 pounds to 180 pounds, and I'm still trying to lose more weight, but it's pretty slow going at this point. I have a lot more energy, I feel less anxiety, my mind is more clear, and I'm generally happier. The way women treat me has changed dramatically for the better, but I've experienced no change in my interactions with men, except that my opinions and thoughts are slightly more warming accepted, but this might have more to do with age than appearance. People were generally nicer after I lost weight, but the people who were most often nicer were also the people who used to not care about me at all. Also, the kind of people I used to identify with before I lost weight didn't trust me as easily anymore. It felt very weird. I liked how my new weight made me look and feel, but I didn't like what it did to my social life. The biggest difference is how I get treated by men. I was invisible before, even in a professional setting. My ideas and opinions were ignored. Now everyone is nice, attentive, and wants to get to know me. My ideas are always listened to, and I find it far more easier to contribute in a group setting. It was disconcerting at first. Beautiful. Well, let's dive into the next chapter. Normal weight Redditors with a spouse who became obese. How do you handle it? Not so much overweight, but basically didn't want to do anything. I would get up for a morning walk or go fishing, surfing, just anything to stay active. She would be sitting watching TV, reality shows, or something and wonder why I wasn't home spending time with her, which turned her bitter that I was out doing things, and I did everything I could to try and include her. I'm all for a day at home doing nothing every once in a while, but when the week consists of order takeout or going out to eat and sitting at home watching Netflix, I started to go crazy. I ended up leaving her for more reasons than this, but now I'm having a fantastic time on my own. My significant other started gaining weight. I totally understand why she has though. She had a kid, always makes you gain a few extra pounds. We started going to the gym together and she lost the weight and actually started getting slimmer. She wasn't slim, but not fat. A couple of years later, her dad died. He was the only person we knew who would look after the kids while we went to the gym, so we couldn't go anymore. She started snacking all the time when I was at work and drinking a lot more pop. She gained more weight, and I told her I was concerned with the way she was snacking and eating at nighttime. She's made the effort to try and lose the weight, but she spends her time alone at home with her 3-year-old. She has no time during the day to exercise because he's so demanding. I travel 3 hours a day and work 8.5 hours, so I don't have much motivation to exercise when I get in. That, and I'm naturally slim and I've never really had the urge to snack, so I don't really gain weight. It's hard sometimes because despite how much I love her, I'm finding I'm less attracted to her because she's gaining weight. I also think that she's not as busy as she says she is because she manages to sit through hundreds of hours of shows on her iPad every week. But I can't really say anything about that because I'd probably be lazy too if I wasn't at work all day. Every girl I've had a relationship with seemed to gain weight over time. Now my wife, it's the same thing. When I first met her, she was the most fit, skinny girl I've ever been with. I felt like the man walking around with her. Fast forward 7 years, after marriage and all, she's probably gained 30 to 40 pounds, and she's 5'1". She has no motivation to do anything and is like the laziest person I have ever seen. Meanwhile, I work out pretty regularly and eat healthy. I've lost weight since I first met her. I'm the obese one. I was pretty attractive when I met him. A little extra weight, but I held it well. A lot in bust and hips, but small waist. Battled poor eating habits as long as I can remember. Husband is pretty fit and runs every week. Meanwhile, I gained/lost, repeat. We got married, got pregnant, gained, and boom, morbidly obese. Small part genetics, large part poor choices. Started steadily losing again. Pregnant, getting heftier than ever. Feel so bad for him and the kids, who deserve a wife and mother around as long as one should be. I need to get my stuff together. They really deserve better than this. He mentions his concerns, but in a sensitive way. I'm halfway through pregnancy now. My wife and I have been together for 23 years. We both were heavy when we were young, but in shape during high school and college. Obviously, after having 2 kids, your body isn't the same, nor are your goals. Kids come first, everything else second. However, I tried to be in shape the whole time, focusing on balancing workouts and kids. 5 a.m. workouts, 8 p.m. workouts, home gym, you name it. I kept the pedal to the metal. My wife, on the other hand, always suggested, planned, started, but failed each time and every time. She doesn't view working out or staying in shape as an important part of your life. No motivation to at least try to get back in shape. What do? Nothing. I continue to set an example to my kids what it means to do hard work. My wife is who she is. I say nothing and respect her choice. Is it a problem? Yes, it is a problem, but one of many in a relationship that you need to work/live through. No one is perfect. My SO and I were super thin when we met each other our freshman year of college. I'm 5'7" and was tops 110 pounds, and he, same height, 135. That being said, we gained some weight necessary to be healthy, but it went beyond that. He topped out around 200 and I hit 160. I don't think either of us were attracted to each other as much as we once were. We've since graduated and moved in together. We've both gotten serious about our diets and exercise routine. We go to the gym together every day but Sunday and are supportive about each other's diets and eating habits. He is even understanding about my sweet tooth that gets in the way of my progress sometimes. But we've both gotten back into pretty damn good shape and are more attracted to each other than ever. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. What are some lesser known benefits to losing weight? Your knees don't give out in your 30s. Yes, I lost a ton of weight because I have bad joints, and the extra weight was making them worse. Your car will get better gas mileage. Ah, yes, leading to less oil consumption. Forget electric cars. America just needs to lose weight collectively, and then voila, less dependent on oil. Harder to hit in dodgeball. Your chances of becoming an astronaut change from 0% to maybe 0.0001%. I honestly didn't realize how crappy I felt on a daily basis until I lost weight. If you can imagine how it would feel to live your entire life with a head cold, how wonderful things would be if it suddenly cleared up and you realized this is how people normally feel. Obviously, it's not a head cold feeling. It's more like feeling tired, uncomfortable, gross, and sweaty all the time. God, I love being in shape. More room in the bathtub, better hugs, trendy calf-high boots, less social anxiety, no back fat bra overhang, increased stooping, crouching, and kneeling skills, actually having leftovers of a good meal, more shopping options, no more need for inhaler, better sleep, don't need as many hours of it, so more hours to enjoy life. When you do lose the weight, your calves stay huge/muscular from always having to carry around your weight. Great calves are life's way of patting you on the back for losing weight. I remember being asked this by someone, as I had ludicrously good calves a while back. What's the secret? They had tried exercise this and protein shake that and supplement what the F is that made of and prayer and everything. I told them to go find 2 backpacks capable of holding 40 pounds, fill them up, put one on their back and one on their front, and then walk about 2 miles a day. Calves for days. It was pretty funny watching them tip over when they got the first one on. You can finally trust wicker furniture again. I hated sitting in it when I was in shape, but just completely avoided it after I gained 35 pounds. People are actually a lot nicer to you when you're in shape as opposed to being fat. I learned this when I dropped down 30 pounds, and even that small amount made people talk to me in a nicer way. I noticed this too. It took me a while to not be angry about it anymore. I kinda lost trust in people when I discovered this. For some people, it's that because of the lost weight, they legit act differently and are more open to people. Not all the time, but it does happen. Jeans last longer because they don't wear out as fast between the thighs. This is the first response I didn't actually expect. I'm pretty skinny, so it's one of those things that I've never experienced, as opposed to the bad knees. I've got heaps of those. Energy. Waking up in the morning isn't as hard as it used to be, kinda bound into life, excited to do things. I'm never as tired at the end of the day as I used to be. I feel as though I usually have enough left in me to keep going and going. I can now trim all toenails in one pass. It used to be trim one, straighten up and breathe, repeat. For a lot of people, MEX gets better, not only because you have more stamina, but you have more confidence and aren't worried about what your partner thinks of your flab. My husband used to be almost 300 pounds. When we started dating, he was down to 220. He's 6'4", so that's still a bit overweight, but much better. He said he was really glad we got together at this weight, because he wouldn't have been able to keep up MEXually at his previous weight. Benefits, you spend less on food and have more stamina. Drawbacks, most people act like crabs in a bucket where weight is concerned, unless they're hoping to learn your magic weight loss secret. Everybody suddenly becomes so concerned about your health when you are losing weight. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, "That isn't good for you," especially annoying since I heard it 0 times when I was almost 200 pounds. Oh frig, this, totally. I was at 265 pounds. Half my family is pestering me to lose weight. I'm down to 170 and it's all, you don't always have to count your calories, / I think you've lost enough weight, etc. Frig man, I'm going to do this the way I feel is best. Sleep apnea got much better and no longer had cholesterol problems, and I only lost 25 pounds. People don't realize that obese isn't really that fat, and being just a bit overweight can have real health consequences. It's sad that so many people are going to acceptance route. Being overweight is all fine and good when you're in your teens and 20s, but that crap will catch up to you by the time you reach 40. Don't just accept it. I can actually run places now. People are more polite to you. I don't get 5 a.m. inner thigh cramps anymore. My stomach skin slaps my upper thighs when I'm going down the stairs. If I have to descend a flight of stairs quickly, it sounds like I'm receiving a round of applause. So that's pretty cool. As a petite woman, I can announce my food cravings and it's cute. I can walk around eating something unhealthy because obviously it's a treat and I must have earned it in the gym. I can fall asleep in public and it's adorable. I don't snore and a big belly and rolls won't pop out. I can sleep at the airport on the chairs by slipping under the armrests up to right below my chest. Sometimes I can buy kids clothes or shoes and they cost less. My teenager has to talk to me long enough to ask to borrow my clothes. When I weighed 186 pounds at 5'3", I had a lot of trouble finding attractive clothing that fit properly. If I was lucky, I could dress with an obnoxious floral print and an unflattering cut that was only slightly flimsy. Now I weigh around 125 pounds and I can easily find nice clothing at retail stores. The selection at thrift stores is extremely good because so many people donate clothing after gaining weight. The retail part of this is mostly an issue with clothing companies though, since being overweight doesn't mean that you necessarily want badly constructed muumuus and zigzag stripe prints. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. Skinny people of Reddit, what did you eat today? It's 11 a.m. and nothing yet. University and work frigged up my eating schedule, and now I only eat one large meal around 2 p.m. and maybe a snack around 11 p.m. I find if I don't eat in the morning, I'm not hungry until around 2, and then again at around 9, if that. I find that I can ignore my hunger, like not feel it, until I put some food in front of me. Breakfast was porridge with honey, matcha, blueberries, and stewed pears with ginger. Snacks have been a homemade rice ball with a few slivers of pork inside, and a big tub of carrot, pepper, and celery sticks with some homemade smoked mackerel pate, made with low-fat fromage fraise, so it's not bad for me. For lunch, I had a tub of homemade butternut squash and chickpea soup with 2 whole grain rice cakes and 2 nectarines for pudding. Not sure about tonight as I am out at a book club. Might nip to Subway. If I have a 6-inch Subway club with no cheese, lots of salad, and sweet onion sauce, it's still good for me. I'll go with yesterday's meals. Breakfast, a bowl of Cheerios with a banana. Lunch, baked potato with green onions and cheese. Supper, a cup of rice and about a chicken breast worth of buttered chicken. Snacks, tea, 3 to 4 cups of watered down apple juice, a granola bar, some leftover birthday cake, exercise, a 10-kilometer, 6.2-mile run. One of my best friends doesn't eat until early afternoon, so I thought I might try adapting his eating habits so I could be skinny like he is. I was looking to lose about 15 pounds at the time. One morning, after staying over at his place, I woke up around 9 a.m. and decided on my own that I would not eat until he ate. My friend woke up around 10, and I could already feel my stomach growling. My friend asked me why I wasn't eating yet, and I told him that I didn't need to eat until he did. He laughed and wished me good luck. So there we were, playing video games, and I couldn't think about anything but food. I kept getting hungrier and hungrier. Before I knew it, my hunger started affecting my mood, and I became angry hungry. But still, I would not eat until he did. My friend finally noticed that something was wrong when I broke into a hunger sweat around 1 p.m. He suggested we get lunch, and I friggin' binged. After eating, I asked him why it took him so long to get hungry, and he told me that he wasn't even that hungry when we went to go eat lunch. Last time I tried that diet ever again. To this day, I still get crap for attempting to copy his eating habits. Woke up, had no breakfast, had a whole jar of almonds and a log of those whole wheat cookie things that has some chocolate on one side. They're made by a health food company, meant for adding fiber to your diet. And then I had an ice cream sandwich. Later I had 7 whole scrambled eggs and water. Now I'm about to have a banana, and then I might go out for a small snack if I'm still hungry, maybe more ice cream. Tomorrow I will hit the gym though. I normally drink a magic bullet smoothie with ice, natural peanut butter, soy milk, and a whole banana in it at 6:30 on the way to work. At work I'll eat a granola bar around 12 since I leave at 1 p.m. When I get home I'll eat something like a can of tuna with mayo on bread or crackers, some spinach with dressing or hummus, something else carby, and drink water. For dinner, my wife and I normally grill trimmed, seasoned chicken, make some instant mashed potatoes, pasta or rice, and eat a vegetable or fruit. Killer meal, boil some rice with garlic, season salt and pepper, mix and season grilled chicken, spinach, salsa verde, shredded cheese, and maybe some hot peppers if you're into that. So delicious, we do that a lot too. We're mega poor, which can be conducive to healthy eating. We keep junk food and soda to occasion, normally weekends. We do have a weakness for frequent gelato though. Me, I'm perfectly happy with LaCroix since I'm after the carbonation mostly anyway. 25, 6'1", 170 pounds. Nothing. Never really liked eating food that much, and I see it almost as a chore. Also, depression. As a fat person, the ability to not eat eludes me. Glad I'm not the only chubber stalking this thread to find the answer. Skinny guy here, we honestly don't notice. I can forget to eat till I'm in the middle of something active and suddenly get shaky and sweaty, and I think, frig, I forgot to eat again. Most of the time I can force something down and avoid this, but mornings absolutely suck. I wake up and my stomach isn't with me. I can sometimes force a Pop-Tart or a donut down, but my rule of thumb is pretty much no solid food before 10. I think this is why so many skinny people start their day with caffeine. We need energy from somewhere, but until our stomach wakes up, it's gotta be in liquid form. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. Confession time. What was one of your worst binges ever? I used to eat a lot of food when I was pretty young, so really dieting was fairly new to me. At first I was on a diet where I didn't eat too much. Pizza, 1 slice. Cheeseburger, half eaten. I was doing well for the first week, but then I woke up one night and I was bloody starving. I got up and ate almost 3/4 of a Chips Ahoy, 5 rolls of fruit roll-ups, and a small mini pizza that I popped in the microwave and ate. Next morning, I felt like I was about to get punched in the chest cavity, but eventually I learned from those mistakes and decided to be on a more nutrient-rich diet where I try to be on a deficit, but eat food that naturally keeps you full for longer periods of time, from 284 to 195 pounds, still going strong. I get really embarrassed when I think about my worst binge, mainly because when I was done, I looked at the carnage of wrappers and packaging and changed my eating right then. I ate an entire container of those frozen cream puffs, theater boxes of Milk Duds, Reese's Pieces, Sour Patch Kids, and Mike and Ike's, half a bag of salt and vinegar chips, half a bag of barbecue chips, some onion rings, about 20 pizza rolls, and a few Klondike ice cream bars. For some reason, the cream puffs got to me the worst. A full box of those works out to be something like 1,500 calories. As a woman, that one box was the amount of calories I should be eating in a full day, and I didn't stop there. That was about a year ago, and I've lost 80 pounds since then, but that binge still haunts me. My worst binge had to be the day I got a day off from my boss. He was in a bad mood and I had been forgetting stupid things all week at work. I was having some emotional issues, so I came in on Sunday and he told me to go home. We got into it, and when I asked if he wanted me in tomorrow, he said, "If you can do your job." So my crippling self-worth tied to a job I thought I did well shattered, and I stormed out. Kinda lost control emotionally, and I binged hard. I picked up a bag of Lay's baked chips, 2 20-ounce bottle of Pepsi, and a bag of gummy worms. Downed that in my car and went to go home. On the way home, got Chinese, 2 egg rolls, 2 cans of cherry Dr. Pepper, and a large order of beef and broccoli. When I got home, I tried not to think about it, but it didn't last. I ordered 2 Domino's, 2 lava cake desserts, 2 times 10 pieces of flavored boneless wings, don't remember what kind, and cheese bread sticks, only got through half. Probably the worst one I had was when I drove through Taco Bell and got 7 bean burritos, 2 Crunchwrap Supremes, and 24 of the cinnamon bites. Not even 2 hours later, my roommate ordered pizza, and I got and ate an entire medium Hawaiian. I felt sick for days afterward. It was during one of the most depressed points of my life. I'm better now, but still suffer from it occasionally. I had one last night actually. That was 3 oatmeal cream pies covered in peanut butter, a dark chocolate granola bar also covered in peanut butter, and chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream straight from the carton. I ended up only 500 cal over for the day, but I still feel sick this morning. Trying to recover with nutrient-dense food and lots of water. I once ate an entire jar of peanut butter, 2 ice cream bars, a PB&J sandwich, and then straight up jam, then a whole box of cookies, and a bag of chips, all in the span of 1 hour, after already having devoured an entire large pizza by myself. I felt like my stomach was about to explode. For context, I'm 5'1", so I normally am not supposed to eat that much compared to other people anyway. That was definitely one of my worst binges. I felt like a literal beach whale for an entire day after that. I still struggle with binging, unfortunately, and that feeling has become familiar to me now. My worst binge was at the start of my weight loss when I still weighed in at 290 pounds, 5'8" female. I joined this weight loss program called The Camp, and the diet was super restricted. After 3 days on the diet and workout program, I thought I deserved a little treat. What I ended up doing instead of a small reward was go to In-N-Out Burger and get a double-double with extra cheese, fries, and a milkshake. I figured since I already messed up, I may as well go further. I drove to Krispy Kreme and got 2 dozen donuts and ate them all in the same parking lot in one sitting. I threw away all the evidence in a nearby dumpster, and then when I got home, my parents asked if I had eaten. I told them no, and we ordered Chinese food. After finishing my chow mein, garlic noodles, and pork dumplings, I texted my boyfriend and asked if he wanted something sweet. When he asked about my camp diet, I said that a little treat won't hurt, and then proceeded to get a pint of Ben & Jerry's and finish the whole thing. I get sick thinking about it now. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. What's your odd way you motivate yourself to lose weight? I think about my Scandinavian ancestors and realize they didn't fight wolves and bears in the deathly cold for me to be pudgy and depressive, get fit, and continue the legacy. I'm reaching the end of my attractive years. If I can't be pretty or beautiful or hot or generally attractive, I might as well be healthy. Every time I hit the gym, I constantly think, if you get ripped and fit, you are one step closer to becoming a superhero. I jog. After a particularly challenging stretch, I raise my hands as I break an imaginary finish line ribbon, and the crowd goes wild. My high school is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year. All the past students got invited. I was a small, thin, lanky nerd and wasn't social at all. Ever since I've been in university, I've started working at bars and working out on a consistent basis so that when I go back, I can be like, still a nerd, now with added mexy. While I'm at the gym, I think of men I'm attracted to, think perfect tens, and I tell myself, if I work harder, if I get fitter, if I get more attractive, I'll date guys like that all the time. They'll be chasing after me. I'll be beating them off with a stick. I get more motivated by the idea of attaining gorgeous men than I do about being a gorgeous woman. I'd also like to squat and bench more than I weigh, be able to run a 5K without stopping, etc. I've almost reached 2 of these 3 goals. I'm nowhere near benching my own weight. Look at your awesome dad. Look at him. Now look at you. Sadly, you can't be him. Work towards it, now. I say that to myself. I want abs. I want people to look at my health and fitness level and be jealous. I want women to poke my stomach as I say, careful, don't break your finger. I work out to make someone who rejected me bitter. I'm aware that I should probably get some self-pride or something, but whatever, it works for me. 2 things. I want to look thin so next time I see my ex, he remembers what he will never have again. Also, I want to be the hot mom. You want to be the hot mom? Your son will suffer. So many of his friends will be making, very nice comments about you. A guy recently broke up with me because I wasn't active enough or organized enough. Also, he said I didn't like to do things enough. All of those things I kind of agreed with, so I dedicated myself to becoming better all summer. Worked and worked out every day, learned Italian, set up a lot of projects, went places, and was in general pretty awesome. I want to have as muscular a bum as a certain friend of mine so I could wear certain jeans. We're both pretty big guys. I'm at an alright weight myself. I've been working my way down for a while. I'm a 5'11" tall guy and I weigh 180 pounds. Not too bad in my opinion. I'm happy with my body for the first time in my life. But the other day, I saw my friend shirtless. He doesn't have abs, but there was some definition to his stomach that I don't have. That's my motivation now. I want to make guys on the street gawk at me. I'm overweight and I'm not happy, so feeling confident will make my life better. And my boyfriend was holding me back, unintentionally, because he likes my body, but I don't, so I want to change it. Mechs will be better and clothes will fit better too. I want to go, well screw you people, you ain't getting this piece of goodness, to all the hot girls that rejected me because I was fat, and that I can increase the length of my banana once I lose all my fat. I'm a girl and I really enjoy watching videos of other in-shape, mexy women to inspire me and fantasize myself looking that good. For some reason, watching the movie Spider-Man and all the acrobats Spider-Man is able to do weirdly gets me all pumped and wanting to lose weight. Fantasizing about the kinds of clothing I'll be able to fit into and look good in again. Also, I moved away from the town I grew up in, but I always go back to visit friends and family, and I get motivated to lose weight because I want to go back and surprise everyone with a new me. Also, I don't want to get diabetes, and that's a huge concern. A girl I used to have a massive crush on got all nervous and giggly around me after seeing how much better I looked after my weight loss. I think about that. A girl smiled at me and bit her lips slightly as I walked past her. I think about that. I went to Europe and people thought I was an athlete despite the only sport I play being StarCraft. I think about that. I use a motivational line from Kevin James. I just want to lose enough weight so that my stomach doesn't jiggle when I brush my teeth. After that, it's just maintenance. Beautiful. Well, let's dive into the next chapter. Ever since I've lost weight, I seem to attract hypercritical guys. I'm 30. In my early 20s, I was a little overweight. Not a lot, but I was on the chubby side. My boyfriend at the time was amazing. I gained weight, I lost weight. Either way, he never said anything and always thought I was beautiful. But we had other problems, and got together when I was young and still felt like I had more things I needed to do before I committed like that. We broke up amicably. Over the next few years, I found footing in the field I always wanted to be in that is really competitive. I almost doubled my salary and gained a lot of confidence in my character and intelligence. I had been vegetarian for about 5 to 6 years at that point, but started eating healthier and more vegan. Not strictly, but more often. My weight dropped, and now I feel like my body is banging. I'm 5'9", 140 pounds, and have normalized my diet enough that I don't really fluctuate much anymore. Ever since, the guys I date become more and more critical of my appearance over time. Both of my most recent exes insisted I work out more after a few months, despite me staying the same and them being super into me sexually, like couldn't get enough, even in the last few days. In fact, my most recent ex had put on weight himself, which I never ever commented on, but he would lament to me occasionally about. But he started telling me how many calories was in something I was eating and complained that I didn't run, even though I started going to yoga classes to appease him, which wasn't bad for me anyway, and bike a decent amount. I'd say 20 to 30 minutes a day on average. One time we were talking about kids in a very far off possibility way, and he brought up a friend of mine who was very trim fresh after 2 kids. Being that she's my longtime friend, I know she struggled with EDs, which is why she was able to shed the baby weight so quickly. It's just strange to me that now when I feel I look my best, yet I'm getting this type of feedback more than ever. And while I realize somehow I'm attracting this energy, it does seem strange. With both my last two exes, I thought we had bonded over real things like shared interests, humor, and ambitions. Then, a few months later, it was, you need to run, your legs need work, there's 300 calories in that candy bar. Do you want me to count calories for you when you drink IPAs? Didn't think so. How do I spot this type of person in advance? Obviously, this stuff didn't come up until about the 3-month mark and got much worse around 6 months, so I didn't know that's how it'd flesh out when I got into it. Stop. You are not attracting this energy. You simply haven't learned yet how to spot it and get rid of it sooner. You will. Take them to the curb on trash day. And this, I wouldn't read too much into this or overthink it, as some guys are just bumholes, and sometimes 2 in a row is just a coincidence. I was with a guy once and we were at a restaurant and our food came to the table and mine was a very large portion. As I was nearing finishing my plate, he said, "You're really going to finish that?" with a little eyebrow raise. I didn't say one word to him. Instead, I calmly motioned the server to come back over and I said, "I'll take another one of these, please." I finished that too, while he waited. I found that it's really helpful for me to have a meal date pretty early on. I like savory food and ordering an appetizer with my meal. You notice a lot of the judgmental, no manners, wrong types of guys pretty quickly by having a meal date. Here's some comments I've gotten. "You're going to finish all that? Are you sure you don't want a salad?" Some comments about the fat content in the food. A guy just orders something small and assumes he's going to eat half your meal without asking you. I think this is especially gross and inappropriate when you don't know each other yet, and he thinks it's appropriate to double dip his spoon into your ice cream or some other food that'll get his saliva on it. And this type of guy is always happy to finish your food when you say you don't want any more, after he already double dipped. Congrats for making all that wonderful progress in your career and health. Right on. Now that you're a self-assured, successful smoke show, your presence will bring out people's insecurities if they feel like they're lacking in any of the areas you're acing it in. And the more insecure they are, the more likely it'll be projected onto you as criticism. That, or you're dating narcissists who see you as a trophy and want to keep you well preserved, lol. Which it doesn't really sound like the case here. Either way though, both issues stem from low self-esteem. Narcissism is just the most extreme version of it. Man, it can be so tough to suss out someone's true character early on because we all tend to be on our best behavior when we're trying to hook someone, just like in job interviews. And those of us people pleasers can say some really interesting stuff when we're trying to save face or present a likable version of ourselves. I think it's so strange how often guys I've dated say things that really stand out to me in the early days, but that they don't even remember having said it later on. Anyway, the best advice I can give is to give yourself lots of time to get to know people before getting serious with them. Easier said than done, but resist the urge to commit to being exclusive in the first few months. And play the field so that you see there are plenty of good candidates out there, or at least that there's no need to settle for subpar ones. I know that it can seem like a barren wasteland in our 30s, but being alone and living your best life is so much better than being with someone who makes you feel like crap. Things like criticizing your weight or how you eat show you someone's true character. Which is why maybe things like this come along after a few months and in stages. This is who they really are. When you get data like that, don't ignore it. Take it for what it is. Don't excuse it or explain it away, and act on it. Friggin' dump those losers. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. Is anyone looking forward to being visible to men or women after weight loss? And that's over half the reason why I'm trying to lose weight. Sure, as a woman, I have had success on dating sites, but while on them, I was always anxious that despite me not catfishing, I would still be rejected for my weight. And in my life, there is a correlation of me entering bad dating dynamics, in general bad times when I am overweight and obese. The best of times in my life have been when I was 40 pounds less than what I am now, 5'2", 191. So I'm trying to lose weight to get these good times in my life back again. I am also excited to be visible to men. I've never truly been visible. That's to say, no men have ever looked at me or hit on me in person. I'd like to know what it feels like to be a pretty woman to society, I suppose. But I am working hard trying to lose 90 or so pounds, so I'll get to my goal. Are you looking forward to being more visible to the opposite or same sex? Yes, I've been overweight my whole life, and this might sound crazy, but I've never dated, been in a relationship, or been intimate with anyone. I think my weight has too much control over me when I'm in social settings. I'm really looking forward to the confidence that I'll gain once I lose the weight. I honestly think that I might become a different person once I gain that confidence, more outgoing, self-assured, less anxious, etc. And maybe then I can finally go on a date. I say this with the most love possible. Losing weight makes a huge difference in confidence and outlook for most people, myself included, but it doesn't solve the root of the problem for anxiety and stress, especially when it comes to self-image and relationships. As much as you are able along the journey when you lose, take what steps you can to learn how to appreciate yourself as you are now and to cope with anxiety. Being the weight that you want isn't a fix-all for all those other emotional complexities. Yes, but mine is a little different actually. I am married to a dude that I think is pretty hot, and I've always felt embarrassed for him being married to an overweight person. Like, I don't want him to be the butt of jokes because he's got a fat wife, you know? I really want him to feel like he's got a hot wife. According to him, he feels like that now, but I feel so self-conscious when I meet someone new. I just want to feel like he feels like he's the luckiest guy in the world. This is 100% my own inner dialogue. He has done nothing to make me feel this way. Yes to wanted attention, and no to unwanted attention. Yes, 100% yes. When I was a young girl, I was tall and slender, and people asked if I was a model, men stopped to stare at me, waiters would give me free desserts, etc., etc. But in high school, I got very sick, gained a lot of weight, and just never lost it. It sounds like a first world problem, and maybe it is, but going from thin, pretty, and the center of attention as a child to unattractive, ignored, and invisible to nearly everyone as a teenager was extremely painful, especially because I was too naive to realize it was about my weight until I graduated college and started yo-yo dieting. I thought people just started hating me. I'm 30 now. I have no idea what it's like to be an attractive adult or have a healthy relationship, but I plan to find out. Yes, literally my dream. I've been thinking about dating lately and it's been so rough. With the weight loss, I've been nicer, looking out more, dressing better, and I can see the results with women. Women are always so nice to me, will hold open doors. Heck, I've even had other women cross parking lots to come up to me and compliment me randomly. But I'm still not having any luck with men. I'll make eye contact and they'll grimace or look away and avoid me. I'm not actively dating right now until I'm at least a size 6, but I would really love to. I see girls out on dates having fun and it makes me smile, like I get really happy for them, and it gives me motivation that can be me soon too. 2 more sizes. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. Ex-overweight people of Reddit, what was the turning point that made you lose the weight? I watched a documentary on YouTube about an 800-pound teenager. Then I looked out the window and thought, hey, it's a really nice day, isn't it? I think I'll walk to the gym and finally join it like I've been meaning to do for the past month. I looked in the mirror one day and realized I actually looked a little pregnant. I realized people could actually start thinking I have a little baby belly growing. So I lost 50 pounds over the next few months. I'm now a comfortable 124 pounds at 5'5". I might be slightly happier at 120, but I'm in no rush. I'm just glad I don't look pregnant anymore. I was in the bath one day, took the plug out, water behind me didn't go down. Realized I was the human equivalent of the Hoover Dam, got out of the bath, looked in the mirror, and realized I hated myself in that moment. Lost 52 kilos, 114 pounds. The pain in my toenails. I was so heavy the weight was causing them to be ingrown and painful. I'm still not X, currently in progress. The turning point was when I realized I've been trying for 10 plus years. Addition to this, my partner joined the battle after we had a rough year. We both want change. What better way for us personally than together to lose some kilograms? It also helped that I gave up on caring so much of what others think. That has been a gigantic leap in my personal confidence, and I take life less seriously, which really has opened up on what matters most to me. Frig you 10 plus years. Your waste of time will be my strength. I was watching Star Wars The Force Awakens back in December for the first time in theaters. I was a size 24, which is the fattest I've ever been in my entire life. I was with friends similarly out of shape, all stuck in some sort of complacent life view, overweight, underemployed, and content to complain about it and not do anything to change it. And then Rey runs up the ramp to the Millennium Falcon, and she leaves her stuck sort of life on Jakku, and all I could think was, I could never do that. If I had a ticket out of this life, I couldn't take it, because I couldn't get up the space ramp. I realized how far from being able to be that person I was. I resolved then to lose the weight, to get in shape, to be ready if adventure comes my way. I went home and I wrote, "These are your first steps," on my mirror, and I promised myself to keep taking steps. A comment on Ask Reddit. I mean, I knew I was, technically am, just barely classified as overweight, but not by 75 pounds now, fat, and never really cared. Never made a huge attempt, never wanted to exercise or commit. But then a guy made a comment on a thread about simple things to improve appearance. He wrote quite a lengthy post about how simple weight loss can be, starting with your diet and simple little changes, and how weight loss itself can just simply be diet changes. He suggested MyFitnessPal. 3 days later, I downloaded MyFitnessPal, tracked everything, and I'm down to 165 today compared to 233.3 pounds I started at 302 days ago. Just little changes make a frig load of difference, my friends. I was at 240, now at 170. I'm 5'7", so not technically X overweight, but I lost a good chunk of weight. I was visiting my friend for summer, and during the day he had college classes. I was bored out of my head and decided I could try biking and just see how much I could tolerate, and mostly out of boredom. I just wanted to feel what extreme heart rate and being exhausted was like. I had minorly exercised, but I was just curious. I cycled and maxed out for about 2 hours. The next day, I could hardly sit. I did this for about 2 weeks and lost 15 pounds. I didn't even think about the weight at all. I just weighed to see what I was. I was like, wait, losing weight, it's like a thing I can do? Because when you're fat long enough, it seems like you're a different species. People are skinny and fat. If you're fat, you're doomed to be subclass or something. Then boyfriend's ex-girlfriend subtweeted and called me hefty. There's a lot of people saying we shouldn't shame people for their weight, and a lot of me agrees because her words were hurtful. But they also motivated me to lose 35 pounds and still going and become healthy. So maybe there are some benefits to being honest with people about their size. Lost around 90 pounds since January of 2012. I started to level out around mid-2014 and have essentially been maintaining and toning since. Went from 270 to around 180, probably lost more, but gained muscle in the process, so whatever. Anyway, my turning point was a broken heart. Always been on the heavier side and felt ugly. A girl I was really into gave me the friend speech. My friend suggested that I lose weight to essentially snap out of my depression. Exercise releases endorphins and all that jazz. After about 2 months, it just became part of my routine and I kept working out and cut bad stuff out of my diet, and boom. I went on a trip to Tanzania, and seeing people that have almost nothing, just the basics to eat, no running water, etc., and yet were genuinely some of the happiest people I've ever met, made me realize how stupid my self-pity was and how my situation was entirely my fault. Also, how entitled it was to basically complain about having too much food. Beautiful. Well, let's dive into the next chapter. What they don't tell you when you start a major weight loss plan. So far, I've shed 125 pounds since July 2016, and I'm about 180 pounds, give or take 2 pounds, water weight fluctuations. I have about 30 pounds to go to my target weight, and I'm taking a break and doing maintenance for a while. I learned that there are things that they don't tell you. They'll say you'll be healthier, you'll have more energy, you'll look better and feel better, but they don't talk about the downside of weight loss. 1. Your hair may fall out. It's called telogen effluvium. If you lose weight fast enough, the body goes into panic mode and shuts down unnecessary functions. One of these is hair growth. So when you lose those 100 hairs per day, normal hair cycle, they don't grow back until your weight is stabilized for about 4 months. I lost so much of my hair, it ended up looking thin and scraggly. I cut it short, pixie, now it's just starting to grow back and I'm keeping it short until the new baby hairs reach the length of my longer hair sections, perhaps next autumn. 2. Clothing budgets get expensive as you change sizes, and you're going to have to give up pretty much everything you love. I found I can go down about 3 sizes before clothes get ridiculous and can no longer be altered. I started at 26, 28 and had a very expensive office work wardrobe I spent a decade assembling. I loved those clothes. When I finally gave up on wearing these favorites and went shopping, my new size was a snug 20. I also learned that when a person normally shops for clothing, you buy one or maybe two of each item, stuff that really speaks to you, and you love everything you buy. They become new favorites. But when you're trying to replace a whole wardrobe, weight loss, fire, other damage/loss, you end up with the same basic items in 5 colors each, with little variation because all the stores carry essentially the same colors each year, so the variation is further reduced. Last year, the whole world was burgundy, and so was I. 3. You're going to lose friends, especially those who are also overweight/obese. It's their own insecurity. I get the questions, did you get bariatric surgery? Frequently. And when I tell them that I use CECO and explain strict calorie tracking, strict calorie limits and exercise, and 3 to 5 times weekly cardio workouts, the response is similar from both friends and strangers. Usually a withering look, as if I somehow betrayed them. And sometimes they tell me how counting calories is dangerous, and they'd never do that. They congratulate me on my achievement, and they begin ignoring my existence. Somehow it triggers passive-aggressive responses, even in non-passive aggressive people. 4. People won't recognize you. I was a well-known person in my community before I lost weight, due to a very publicly visible job. I quit that job just before my weight loss began, and now no one recognizes me. Not just the man on the street kind of lack of recognition, but the last time I went into my old office, the people whom I worked with for 5 years straight up had no idea who I was. As soon as I realized they had no clue, I spent several minutes giving hints as to who I was. I even told them, I worked right there, that was my desk. This weekend I went to a picnic social and saw someone there who had observed my work for several years, and I commented on the work I did during a conversation. No, I know that person, it was X. X did that. No matter how much I insisted I am that person, she wouldn't believe me. Finally, I had to pull out a comparison picture I keep on my phone and my ID to prove my identity. It's both funny and annoying. 5. It's going to hurt. No, not the dieting, though sometimes my growling stomach may disagree, but new pressure in new places. The extra padding over bones is gone. I can't sit on a wooden kitchen chair without a thick pad or it hurts my ischium, lower butt bones. I can't sleep on my side without a pillow between my knees to cushion the bones. Sometimes one knee will knock into the other during normal movements, and it hurts. 6. Praise from friends, family, or even strangers can feel bad, and that's okay. When people praise your efforts, not only are they saying they're noticing your efforts and changes in your body, but it can also feel like they're commenting on how bad you looked before, even if they never said anything when you were at your high weight. And if you're not done losing weight, even as their words feel like success and validation, it can also feel like the praise is too early. You have more work to do. Great post of wisdom. The hair one was a pretty big shock to me. I wish more people talked about it. I freaked out a bit when I first started noticing my hair thinning. I thought it was male pattern baldness setting in early. I guess it could still be that, but I'm crossing my fingers that mine will start growing back once my weight has stabilized. This is an excellent post. To add a woman's perspective, men treat you much differently. While it's nice to get attention, have people seem more interested in what you're saying, hold doors, etc., it's also really sad to realize that the same people didn't do those things when I was heavy. You realize how deeply social beings we all are, and it's kind of sad to come to understand the double standards so intimately. On the bright side, I trust my male friends who befriended me when I was heavy way more these days, because I believe that they liked me for my personality and didn't have a secret agenda. So much this. I am at half of my max weight, and the worst thing of all is how much nicer everyone, especially men but also a lot of women, is to me. People pay attention to my opinions and ideas, take interest in my hobbies, vacations, blah blah blah, are polite, make eye contact, are friendly, respectful in ways that never were when I was an absolute unit. And no, it is not some newly discovered self-confidence somehow making people treat me different. If anything, I was much nicer when I was fat, more conciliatory, more deferential, helpful, cheerful, partly because I wanted so badly for people to be nice to me. And also, from behind my own eyes, I am exactly the same person, but better at climbing stairs / doing sports / putting my own shoes on and flying on airplanes. I thought that being ignored and disrespected, etc. was either my imagination or paranoia or worse, something I deserved because I was just not worthy. Then I lost a ton of weight and suddenly became a human being. So yeah, finally everybody loves me and I hate them. So win-win. 6 happened to me today. Saw a coworker that I have only seen in passing in the past few months. As we work different shifts, I'm usually leaving and in a coat when he sees me. Today we were going up the stairs, and at the same time he asked, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yes." "You're not sick, are you?" "No." "Well, you've lost so much weight." "Yeah, I've been trying, still working on it." You're doing good then." It made me think, crap, how bad was I? Seriously, how big did I get that it is that noticeable? Yes, I've lost 26% of my initial weight, but the reactions make me think that I must have been huge, and I still have so far to go. The jewelry thing is a thing too. I got engaged January 2017, and my ring fit perfectly. January of this year, I was worried about it falling off. I finally got it resized over Easter, no charge. So much better, until one of the diamonds fell off. They are replacing it at no charge. Why you go to a good jeweler. We take the bad with the good. If it means that I get to inspire students, if it means I might not develop type 2 diabetes like the generations before me, and if it means I get a few more years with my significant other, it's all worth it. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. Skinny people, what kind of challenges do you face that people with higher weights don't? When riding roller coasters, I'm pretty sure I slide around way more than I safely should. I went on a ride and got battered quite a bit from flopping around in the harness. There was a small child crying because of the same reason. I knew its pain. Sometimes the belt, harness bar just doesn't depress enough. My mother always thought I had an ED. She was paranoid and wouldn't shut up about it until a doctor told her I was fine. I've seen this happen before. Is your mother overweight? Yes, but she denies it. I'm not surprised on either account. Frigging t-shirts. Those frigging short sleeves look like crap when your arm is like a twig. Exactly this. That's why I just wore hoodies 24/7, so nobody would see my noodle arms in high school. People find it perfectly acceptable to comment on my weight. Too many jokes about my weight and unwanted and definitely unnecessary remarks about my body from strangers, friends, and family. I was always made to be ashamed, but that is basically cool cause at least you can eat whatever you want. If you eat. Do you eat? My sister-in-law is 5'5" and a US size 0. She's athletic thin and actually eats quite a lot, which she burns off with active hobbies. She likes skiing, running, climbing, snowboarding, ballroom dancing, pole dancing, gymnastics, and ballet. So yeah, she's really thin. But people constantly make remarks about her having an ED, which I think is quite mean. She certainly doesn't appreciate it. I think it comes from a place of jealousy. She's also conventionally quite beautiful, and their own insecurity, but it's not nice. Sit-ups are the devil's exercise. Also, I get these sores from the bones in my butt when I sit on hard chairs. Or how about laying in the bathtub? I need to fold up a washcloth to cushion my tailbone. I find it hard to eat my money's worth at a buffet. I'm completely the opposite. My friends are always amazed about the amount I gobble down. One all-you-can-eat place went bankrupt shortly after I had eaten there. While I can't be sure it was my doing, I like to think it was. Strong winds can be difficult to walk in, and they think we're faking when we lean into it. Dude, I just don't want to fall over. Buying clothes. I'm not super skinny, but am nonetheless. Also, I'm tall, so I can't get pants that are in my correct size in waist and in length. Those that I find are hard to come by. When people see you eating something unhealthy and they ask you, how can you eat like that and still remain skinny? Simple. This is probably the only unhealthy thing I've had all week, and I factored it into the rest of my diet. I hate it when people ask other people that, and I'm not even skinny. Like, the answer is so friggin' simple. They probably eat healthy most of the time. They probably don't eat high quantities of unhealthy food. They probably exercise a fair amount. They take care of themselves. As a skinny woman, people tell me about their diets all day, but I am not allowed to say anything at all about what I eat, or diet anything without a lecture about my body image. Edit, I also have a relatively large, natural chest for my skinny frame, so people ask me where I got them done. I hate it when I say I can't eat something, and the response is, but you're so skinny. A lot of times, I friggin' wish I could eat that, but I have medical dietary restrictions, and it's got nothing to do with my body image, but the assumption is it's because of body image issues. Those social media posts, videos, campaigns, mannequins, models, etc. that say, "This is what a real woman looks like," and show a woman who is significantly heavier than I am, or calling people with my body proportions unrealistic. I really despise that phrasing. Yes, I have a thigh gap. Yes, I am thin. Yes, I can do some of those thin challenges that were making their way around. Yes, I have the hip bone bridge or whatever it's called. I'm not starving myself, going on extreme diets, taking diet pills, or exercising obsessively. I am a real woman. Nobody's more or less real because of their weight. A couple of months before my wedding, I showed a coworker a picture of me wearing my wedding dress. Her husband came up, looked at me in it, and told me I needed to gain some weight if I wanted to be a beautiful bride. Jerk. No one wants to hear how difficult it is to gain weight. You are disregarded, accused of complaining. People say, "I wish I had that problem." I am a naturally thin person, but there have been times I needed to put on some weight for health reasons, and the response I got from several people when mentioning it was pretty darn hostile. There have been quite a few instances when I'll talk with coworkers about healthy diets and how I run nearly every day. Instead of furthering the discussion, they will dismiss it by saying, "You're already so skinny, you don't need to worry about that." Of course, I'll focus on diet and exercise more when I gain a few pounds, but the main reason is for my overall health. I surmise those specific people are insecure about their lifestyle choices, so much that when others talk about healthy measures, they immediately project their feelings. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. Morbidly obese Redditors. What are some daily struggles that you face that a slim person wouldn't know about? That moment when you're walking between cars and you turn sideways to go between the mirrors and realize it doesn't make any difference. I was up to 507 pounds, which is a quarter ton, and there were all kinds of things that I had a hard time with. Airline seating. When you pay $600 for an airline seat and get the middle seat and have to sit there for 5 hours, it's torture. Not just for the people sitting beside me, but for me. I literally don't think about anything else other than the inconvenience those people have sitting next to me, overflowing into their space. Also, I need that seatbelt extender every time. The humiliating part isn't asking for it, it's the look I get from the people around me. When I go into a room, I look for the place where I will be the least obstructive and I go there, usually a corner. I will tuck myself into that spot for the entire time and won't move until it's time to go. Elevators. That look you get from other people when they look at the capacity of the elevator and then back at you, and you can tell they're mentally doing the math. I've dropped 200 pounds, but I still have the 500-pound mentality, still dropping weight, but I'll always be a fat guy in my head. It's too bad people can't be nicer, but if anything, it makes it easier to show me the people I should avoid. My fear of how other people view me is crippling at times. Prevents me from going to the gym, prevents me from going to parties, prevented me from going to classes in college. I barely fit in the desk, super embarrassing. I've literally gone all the way to a bar to meet friends and just turned around to go home. Wouldn't wish this on anyone. When I see overweight people at the gym, I admire them for doing something about their weight. Don't let other people keep you from doing what you want to do. You know those authentic Japanese restaurants where you sit down and the walls are made of paper? Yeah, I'm not allowed back there anymore. Procrastination. I'll just wait until I lose some weight to apply for that job, ask that girl out, play football with my friends, go on vacation, etc. Oh man, I feel you. I'm about to turn 25 and I have put on hold my life, my plans, my education, my friends, and my happiness because of this. Every time I say something in the lines of, "I would like to," I immediately follow that through with, "maybe in a few months after I lose some weight." I thought I was alone on this. You both made me happier for realizing I'm not the only one, and cry at the thought of how much time I've wasted all because of my stupid insecurities. Sometimes I look at myself in the mirror thinking, wow, I look hot in this outfit when getting ready for a nice event. Then I see the pictures afterwards, and all I see is how fat I actually look. Looks in mirror, man, I actually look somewhat decent today. Goes to take a selfie, never mind. When a skinnier friend is leading the way through a crowded bar/restaurant, I get instant anxiety over being able to squeeze through the small gaps in chairs/people she is squeezing through. At first, you don't realize how much weight you are gaining. In your mind, you still see yourself at the weight you once were. No kidding, especially if you avoid looking at yourself in the mirror very much, or weighing yourself, or getting pictures taken of you. I get this image in my head that, oh, I'm just a little bit overweight. Then my significant other sneaks a pic of me, and when I see it, I think, damn, I've got plump arms, an astounding belly roll, love handles, and a lumpy bum, etc. The constant self-conscious pulling of the shirt away from your body to make sure your shirt hasn't folded into your rolls. I wish I was as fat as I was when I first thought I was fat. The subconscious act of putting something, book bag, jacket, etc., over your stomach when sitting down. If you grow up being fat, I'm thin now and it has helped a lot, but back then I literally would never say the word fat. I looked for another word to express what I wanted, and if people ever used the word fat, even if it wasn't meant as body fat, I would instantly get anxious. My heart rate would go up, and I'd just shut up and pretend I wasn't there. The thought of, they said fat, now they're all thinking about me and how fat I am, stuck so hard in my head that even today, after 4 years of not being fat, I get a bit nervous. And I will never forget the first time I said the word fat. I remember thinking to myself, there, I said it, fat. Fat, fat, fat. It's okay. Nothing happened. Fat. That being fat is the first thing people judge you by, and fearing that's about as far as it goes. Going out to eat and always having to request a table because you probably won't be able to fit in a booth. Just reading a thread on thin people problems yesterday, and booths got a hammering in that as well, because they are generally designed for the larger frame, so thin people have to lean over the gap to eat. The futility of sucking in your stomach for photos. I lost weight and I still suck my stomach in. OMFG. When I lost weight, my strategy naturally shifted from sucking as much gut in as possible and ramping it up/down for things like pictures, to having a constant flex on your abs just to keep it flatter. Even if you're in good shape, there's always going to be a round belly represented in some way unless you flex. Trying to be perceived as a professional. I feel like I'm always at a distinct disadvantage when I'm trying to wear a suit or really dress up to the nines. All these lumps and meats mean I'll never have a sharp, put-together look. No matter what I do, I always feel like I end up looking a little shabby. I'm young enough that it hasn't been a barrier yet, but I'm worried it could be someday. Trying to head it off, but plateaus are a B, and I have a long way to go. Besides, how much of it is just my self-perception? When I was morbidly obese, I was also agoraphobic. I never wanted to leave the house out of fear and shame. Also, it's really a mind frig how well people treat me now that I'm a normal size. I totally wish I had taken my weight and health problems more seriously before I started having diagnosed health problems. It's my biggest regret. Unfortunately, I took for granted that I was young and felt healthy and had good medical checkups previously, ignorantly thinking that would continue. And it took me until I was over 30 and started having very high blood pressure with bad side effects and other issues until I truly realized how deluded I had been. Tying my shoes, or when I was pregnant, reaching back to wipe my own bum. I've lost 30 pounds, but still have 50 to go, and it's very hard to avoid bad behaviors. 30 pounds is amazing. You can do it. Not sure if I was technically morbidly obese, but I was once obese. One of the hardest things for me was trying not to sweat through clothing during the heat of summer. I live in the South, and sometimes deodorant doesn't always work as you'd expect. Last year, I started January at 341 pounds. I ended the year at 286 pounds. It's not a lot, but it made an enormous difference. I'm now pregnant, so my weight loss had to be postponed. The hardest thing for me, even when not pregnant, is bending over to pick up things. I have a small torso, and the belly just makes me huff and puff. The more I have to do it, like when cleaning up the house, the worse my back hurts. Stairs are my least favorite, especially if anyone else is coming up them. I always try to hurry up the stairs and then end up out of breath just so the person doesn't get stuck behind me while I'm trudging up slowly. Any sort of inclined walking is the worst. I work at a daycare and all the chairs are basically child-sized, so I have a real hard time figuring out which I should sit on or how much of my weight I can put on these chairs. I also end up standing on the bus if there aren't 2 free seats available. I don't actually take up 2 seats, but I always feel bad for crowding the person next to me with my giant behind, so I stand as a courtesy. Limitations, because if my weight really hit hard when I went on holiday with my now ex, I couldn't go jet skiing. Not because of waves, my thigh and leg muscles are really strong, but because if I fell off the jet ski, I wouldn't be able to get back on. I have no upper body strength. The other thing which hit hard was when I was snorkeling. I couldn't swim back to the boat because of a lack of arm strength. I'd managed to swim so far out that I was about an equal distance between boat and land, but it would have taken me too long to get back to either. I couldn't lift myself out of the water onto the motorboat, so I had to get towed back. Technically, I'm not morbidly obese anymore, down to regular obesity, yay, but in the recent past, I was. So, the hardest daily activity for me was anything involving squatting. Bad knees run in my family anyway, and with the extra weight on my body, it was just difficult to squat down and then get back up. Cleaning up the floor was a pain in the bum, and right about the time I started thinking, I bet one of those claw grabbers would make this easier, is when I realized I really needed to lose weight. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. Obese people of Reddit, what does your daily diet normally consist of? Until October 2013, I was tipping the scales at 310. Not fat enough for a TLC special, but certainly breaking the occasional chair. I grazed. When I set out on my weight loss journey, I started counting calories and came to a horrible realization of just how much I had been eating. Weekends were worse for me. Breakfast, 6 to 10 pancakes with a half a cup of syrup, eggs, bacon, or sausage. Big coffee with lots of sugar. Snacks before lunch, whatever I could get my hands on. I could polish off a jar or two of peanut butter in a day, one spoonful at a time. Lunch, usually fast food or a big sandwich with lots of chips, some soda, whatever. Dinner, my wife usually cooks and makes fairly healthy food. My problem was portion control. I could polish off an entire tray of enchiladas or a whole meatloaf or whatever. I figure on average on the weekends, I would eat in the neighborhood of 5,000 to 8,000 calories. I exercised as little as possible. Hated it. TV and video games all the way. I still managed the occasional hike or whatever, but nothing regular. I'm now down to 245, prepping to run my first 5K this coming Saturday, and eating roughly 2,000 to 2,400 calories depending on activity level for the day. I don't ever want to go back. I've lost over 200 pounds since November 2012. Before that, it was just constant eating of any and everything. Typically, an early breakfast, or maybe a half bag of tater tots with a half pound of cheese on them, or maybe a tube of Grand's biscuits used to make cheese and liverwurst sandwiches. Then no full meals until dinner, but constant snacking. Whole pound of Jelly Bellies and 4 bagels with butter, an entire pan of brownies, stuff like that. Oh, and on work days, 2 large fast food meals, plus dinner and snacks. Like at McDonald's, I used to get 3/4 pounders with cheese and a supersized fry, until they discontinued the supersize. At Jack in the Box, usually a sourdough jack and an ultimate cheeseburger and large curly fries. My favorite McD's breakfast was 2 egg McMuffins, 1 bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, 1 steak, egg, and cheese bagel, and 2 hash browns, of which I would put half onto each sandwich. I'm properly obese, 6'2", over 400 pounds. I've been all over the scale. At my best, I was around 200 pounds and muscular. I've been on a diet since I can remember, and I hate being fat. When I'm in effort mode, I'll usually not eat anything for breakfast, junk food for lunch, and then binge in the evening watching TV or gaming. The usual suspects include pizza, sugary drinks, candy, cheese, pastries, sugary cereal, potato chips, ice cream, nachos, and other highly processed sugary/fat food that need little or no prep and you can just eat without thinking. You can gain serious weight in very little time on that diet. On a bad day, I can easily eat 6,000 calories. Maintenance for me at my current weight, 407 pounds, seems to be around 3,000 calories. I used to be in the morbidly obese category, so this will be what I used to eat. 1. Wake up and drive to work. Hold on, I need to stop at the gas station to get my fix. I buy 3 sugary energy drinks. One of these drinks is my breakfast that I drink while coming into work. 2. In the office, drink half of energy drink number 2. Go get a donut from the coffee bar at work. 3. Lunchtime, finish energy drink number 2. Eat whatever horrible food they have at the employee cafeteria. Eat 1 slice of cheesecake or ice cream. 4. Head home, drink last energy drink. 5. Eat a frozen pizza, fast food, or some other horrible meal intended for multiple people. 6. Soda, then play video games all night. My exercise consisted of walking up and down stairs to get food. I was 280, now I am 190. I cut out all sugary drinks, no more fast food, no more pastas, pizza, rice. I eat salad once a day, sometimes 2 times. I drink 3 quarts of water a day and run at least 5K every day. Longest run is 10.5 miles. Alright, this thread is full of people lying and posting what they ate during the week and a half they were trying to diet. I weighed about 270 when I was 19, so let's go through my daily diet from back then. Breakfast. If I did wake up before noon, usually a bowl of cereal and a couple of Pop-Tarts. I don't want to wake up 1 second earlier than I have to, so I ain't got time to cook anything. Mid-morning. I sure am hungry after eating such an unfulfilling breakfast. Better get a bag of chips and a Dr. Pepper from the vending machine. Lunch. Head over to Freebirds and get a Monster. For non-Texans out there, Freebirds is a better version of Chipotle, and a Monster is roughly twice the size of a normal burrito, with a large Dr. Pepper, of course. Dinner. I had a meal plan for 1 meal a day from the student cafeteria. It was all you can eat. So I would stuff as much food in my craw as could fit. You were allowed to take your drink out of the cafeteria with you. So I would fill a styrofoam drink cup with food, then sneak it out so I'd have a free lunch for tomorrow. Late night snack. All the food from the cup. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. People of Reddit who have lost a lot of weight or got into great shape. Have your standards changed? Or your personality? I lost over 80 pounds. I'm a female who went from about 215 to around 130. I don't feel like I changed personally, but it was amazing the change in the way other people treated me. Not just men, but everyone. People are friendlier, salespeople are more helpful, and yes, more attention from the opposite sex. Before losing the weight, I don't think I fully understood how much value our society places on weight and appearance. Lost 100 pounds, went from 230 to 130-ish. I'm a 5'5" girl, overall more comfortable going out places and being around others, but actually somewhat less confident now. I focus more on my appearance, psychologically, not my routine. Always been sort of low-key with the whole beautifying thing, because others began to. Supposedly I'm pretty attractive now, but when you grow up being ridiculed, your self-perception is warped. Someone says you're gorgeous one day, and you draw a blank. It is difficult to accept. Other stuff, women are meaner to me, which sucks, and has probably made me more callous around them. Standards, not really. I've always liked and dated many different types of men, nearly all in the average weight range. I try not to judge people due to their weight, but sometimes super heavy people who don't care irk me. I think I have become more depressed seeing the harsh reality of how much appearance matters, and how differently you will be treated and perceived. I went from 190 to 130 just after high school. Even though it has been 7 years since I lost all that weight, I still occasionally call myself fat and get jealous of skinny girls because I forget that I'm not fat anymore. However, the majority of the time, losing all this weight has given me so much confidence and allowed me to talk to more attractive guys, because when I was fat, I thought I could only get a fat guy. I like to think that my standards haven't changed, but they clearly have. I'm a lot more outgoing, flirtier, and girlier, because I no longer have to hide behind giant clothes and anger. Wish I'd lost the weight earlier. High school would have been so much easier. I lost a lot of weight fairly early on in my life, in high school. The short answer is yes. My standards definitely changed, and so did my personality, although this had more to do with fixing my low self-esteem than it did with the weight itself. I started to see myself as a special person who was worth a relationship, that sort of thing. I do judge overweight people more. I no longer believe that weight is genetic or impossible to get off, a belief I held while overweight. I've lost about 80 pounds. I've been with my husband the whole time, so that part is not applicable. But my personality has changed in many noticeable ways. When I was obese, I was super shy and awkward and refused to go to new places or try new experiences. I was in a state of nearly constant discomfort, and I went to great lengths to avoid being photographed. I ate in secret a lot. I would go for fast food on my way home from work, eat it while driving, and then eat dinner as soon as I got home. This secretive behavior made me miserable. I felt crazy and irritable all the time. I would pick fights with my husband in order to avoid mechs because I felt so unattractive and didn't want amorous attention at all. I feel so much better and healthier now. My confidence is strong and I'm serene and happy. My relationship is so much better and closer now that I'm not hiding food, and I am happy to receive and even initiate lovemaking now. Dropping those pounds changed my entire life. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. What are some lesser known benefits to losing weight? Minor to moderate back and joint pain may be relieved. The effect is amplified with strength training. Midlife obesity, also midlife diabetes, more than doubles your risk of Alzheimer's down the road. Being able to scratch those hard-to-reach itches on your back. You overheat much less and don't smell or sweat anywhere near as much. Being able to tie your shoes and breathe at the same time. Not having to wear Spanx anymore. I still do it if it's like a formal occasion, but I used to have to wear it every day to conceal my perpetual food baby. Travel becomes infinitely easier and cheaper. Pressure on your kidneys. I'm a diabetic and I went to see my doctor and he said that at 23, yeah, young, my kidneys were failing. I was obese, but not shop at specialty store clothing fat. I told him I was going to lose weight because I didn't want to take more meds than I already was. Now my kidney health is spot on. Got a handshake and a pat on the back from the doctor. Good crap. Less folds for staying to develop. If you're a guy, your banana looks bigger and might get bigger as the fat recedes. Less joint pain. Confidence in everything that comes with it. Your clothing options go up. Menstrual options go up. Any muscle you have stands out more. You can literally fit into more places like theme park rides and kayaks, etc. When you lose weight, your center of mass moves inward and closer towards your core, for lack of a better word, so you acquire a better sense of balance. Activities that require balance, like working on the roof or navigating over a gravelly patch in the parking lot, or just walking through a wet wooded narrow tail in order to avoid getting wet, become easier. And with this newfound ability to do these things comes greater confidence and self-reliance. This, even more than the obvious health benefits, is what I truly notice more than anything else. You find out who your real friends are. When I lost a bunch of weight after my second pregnancy, a few girls I considered friends started acting really crappy towards me for no reason. And then I heard that they were saying I was stuck up ever since losing weight. I hadn't changed, I just got noticed by more men, which I guess they noticed. So many good reasons, yet I'm still so lazy. No one has mentioned confidence yet. The confidence boost you get from being happy with your body is staggering. You may still not want to run through the streets, but it might just give you the boost to go and ask out that cute girl or guy you've had a crush on. Even if you don't want to ask anyone out, walking around the shops, you're not constantly thinking, are they looking at me? Do they think I'm fat? Are they making fun of me? Kind of thing. You just feel better. And no doubt you'll judge what other people put in their baskets too, but that's not really a benefit. This is weird, but I sweat a lot, but I found that I don't have as big of an issue sweating, particularly between my upper thighs and banana area after I lost weight, so it made walking to class in the summer heat less miserable. Also, being out of shape made walking up the steps in the parking garage hell and embarrassing when I was out of shape and overweight. As silly as it is, happier dogs. I've been eating healthier and counting calories for just under a month. I've also been trying to be more active, and taking the dogs for a walk helps me and them. It also gets easier to go longer distances rather quickly. One of my dogs is a husky, so she's definitely happy to be getting more and much longer walks. A lesser known benefit to losing weight is that you can get around things easier. Suppose a couple of shoppers are blocking the aisle with their carts. If you see about 8 inches of clearance, as a skinny person, you might be able to do a quick karaoke step through the gap before anybody else knows what hit them. You don't constantly feel bloated and like everything is squishing together. Wearing clothes is less irritating. Doing anything physical is easier and you feel like you're moving faster. More options for clothes. If you plan on having a baby, being pregnant at a healthy weight means less risk of complications, aches and pains, and less likely to gain a ton of weight that you never intend on losing. I lost a bunch of weight and now bother with my hair and makeup, and things are so different. People treat me better. I now don't even worry about, oh no, we're picking partners and I don't know anyone, because I'll have 2 or 3 different people to offer to be my partner. Also, like someone already said, it's so nice to be physically fit. You breathe deeper, you can see clearer, and it feels good to be active. It just feels so much happier. 10 out of 10 would recommend eating a relatively healthy diet plus working out. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. Ex-overweight people of Reddit, what was the turning point that made you lose the weight? I broke a toilet seat, blamed the cheap toilet seat, and went and bought a new, nicer one. Broke that one too. I was 300 pounds and obese all my life. I am raising my 11-year-old granddaughter, and 2 years ago I thought I was going to drop dead. She's lost too many people, and I did not want to do that to her. It's become my #1 priority, down 110 pounds. Visiting my mom while she was putting together some photo albums and seeing pictures of myself before gaining weight and after. The moment of clarity when I realized how much I'd let myself go. The final straw was when I couldn't bend over my grandmother's hospital bed to kiss her because my belly was so massive. This might be an unpopular opinion, but my turning point was when I finally just accepted the reality that, like it or not, people, especially in professional settings, judge you first by your appearance before they ever learn how cool, competent, professional, or whatever that you are. Is it true for every single person? No. Is it necessarily fair? No. But is it true like 90% of the time? Yep. I've been big and small and big, and currently big, and the difference is night and day. I currently get the, what is that doing in my world look. People get indignant about your existence. It's kind of insane. Once upon a time, people looked at me like they were happily surprised to see me, even when they didn't know me. I don't really take issue with people being attracted to people they are attracted to, but I kind of think that a negative reaction to anyone that you don't want something from is a little pedantic, childish, and just indicative of a bad character. There were a few things that sort of laid the groundwork for the change. The first was when I realized I was obese, not just fat. I was actually at Hershey Park, which probably should have been a good indication in the first place, and I had to watch my little brother go on all the roller coasters that I couldn't fit in. It hurt. It planted the seed. The second thing was I was in the shower and I went to wash my feet, and when I looked down I couldn't actually see them. It actually worried me. The last thing was I got an office job with no idea how to dress for an office job, so r/male fashion advice was browse thoroughly, and I realized that I liked all those clothes and that I wanted to be able to actually wear all the nice things that would never fit me. I wanted to wear things that looked good on me, and made me feel as awesome as I thought I looked. I went from 365 pounds to 250 in a year, and 250 to 200 in the next one. I now have much nicer clothes. TLDR, my own narcissism drove me to it. I hit 289 pounds and didn't want to hit 300. I'm still overweight, but what weight I have dropped, I have kept off. I was in my cousin's wedding party and everyone else was tall and thin while I was short and fat. His wife started posting pictures on Facebook the next day and it was just humiliating. My face was so fat I barely had any discernible features outside of fat. The next day I joined a gym and I've pretty much gone a minimum of 3 days a week for the past 8 years. I went from a 46-inch waist to a 30-inch. Honestly, losing weight was so easy that my biggest regret is that I didn't do it sooner. I ran into my former high school teacher. She's the sweetest, kindest lady you'll ever meet. Imagine a female version of Mr. Rogers. She said this, "Oh my goodness, name, is that you? You look awfully swollen. Are you feeling all right?" Me, "Yeah, I'm perfectly fine." Her, disappointed look on her face, "Oh, you used to be such a handsome man." Her reply almost crushed me. She was so honest. I was only 24 at the time. Now I'm 28 and ripped AF. Thanks, Mrs. Henry. My turning point was over 7 years. Happened when I realized that my then best friend was one of the major reasons I'd gained a lot of the weight during childhood and well into adulthood. The moment we stopped being friends, I started running and started to eat healthier. I went from a size 18 to a size 8 currently. I read a quote in a Tim Sandlin book that said, "There's no one more depressed than a fat person who loses 100 pounds only to discover that the thin can be lonely too." Basically, growing up a fat child, I had blamed so many things on being overweight, and I finally realized it was just an easy excuse, and I didn't want to spend my whole life never being comfortable in my own skin. Nothing fit, nothing at all in my closet. There was this major party the next day, and I hadn't a single thing to wear aside from a huge baggy top and a pair of jeans. I barely stuck around for an hour because I was so embarrassed, and just ended up going back to my room, throwing clothes around and crying. Totally worth it. Still not where I want to be, but at least I'm somewhat better. I'm still overweight, but I was morbidly obese as a teen and a young adult, 400 pounds. My family tried everything, from appealing to me emotionally and fat shaming. Then one day I decided I wasn't going to drink liquid calories anymore, or eat pork or beef, and I walked after every meal. Combined, I've lost over 250 pounds, counting weight gained and lost. The last bit is the hardest part. Overeating is a struggle. I have a personal trainer who believes in me and helps me with my goals. I don't win every day, but I'm more active and knowledgeable than ever. One day, I will be a normal weight. This does not define me. The reason I used to be so overweight was caused by my ridiculously unhealthy eating habits. I was one of those people who have always thought I'd done everything to lose weight, but nothing has happened, when in reality, I had done nothing. There was also the fact that everyone denied that I was overweight. Whenever I made a comment on my appearance, everyone would burst into a chorus of, "Oh, you're not fat," or "Shut up, you look fine." One day my sister started tracking what she ate. Though I knew it was just a phase that wouldn't last long, I decided to try it out with her, despite what I thought about it just being a short-lived thing. At the end of the first day, I put all the food I ate into a tracker. I was absolutely disgusted. The sheer amount of food that was entering my body was repulsive, and I felt the instant need to eat less and somehow get the toxic foods out of my system. This was such a mental shock for me that I felt uprooted and horrifically unhealthy. I never had a moment where I felt more fat. That day I knew I had to change, knew I had to do something and get healthier. In short, I just needed that mental wreckage before I could recognize what was causing me to be so large. I'm no longer morbidly obese, and I'm around 15 pounds over the healthy range. I don't like telling people I've met since then my weight loss story, but I find it important that everyone realize the importance of motivating others and being honest. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. People who are or have been in a relationship where your partner transformed, lost weight, grew out of their acne awkwardness, got muscular, etc., into someone out of your league. How did everything play out? In a similar vein, I once asked out a girl. She said no and proceeded to lose 25 pounds. Why? She was horrified that I thought I was in her league. I don't know whether to laugh or give you a hug. I've seen this play out with several friends. It goes in one of two ways. One, seeing their partner blossom encourages them to value their partner more and maybe improve themselves. Or two, seeing their partner blossom makes them jealous or envious and they sabotage the relationship. One of my friends in law school was devastatingly beautiful, but she had an overweight, plain boyfriend who took her for granted. After law school, she left him behind and met a great guy. My ex-boyfriend went from chubby to bodybuilding competitions in the 2 years we dated. He went from being sweet to self-absorbed and told me, "There's a drop-dead gorgeous girl at my gym. You should work out so you can look like her." I ran half marathons and was in great shape at the time. He also started eating the same thing every meal, so no more dinner or ice cream dates. My first boyfriend used to be kinda chubby. He started going to the gym religiously. That, along with loss of appetite due to a medication he was taking, made him lose about 40 pounds. It totally boosted his confidence, which I was happy about for him, but his mex drive became much higher than mine, and it turned into an issue. How did that turn out? I started distancing myself. Eventually, he broke up with me. Just to preface this whole thing, I'm not a 10 out of 10 knockout or anything, but I think most people would consider me to be pretty. I met my husband in high school when his hobbies included grass, video games, and playing guitar badly. He was chubby, short, and going through an emo phase, and covered in bad acne. My father hated him. Obviously, he stole my heart immediately. When we got out of high school, he worked mainly in fast food while I was a college student. He lived with his parents. My sisters were sure that we'd break up and tried to convince me I could do better, but he's my best friend, so I didn't care in the slightest. While I was in college, he thought about going into the military, so he started working out daily. He got very fit, very fast, and decided that he no longer wanted to be in the military but wanted to go back to school. Just getting older and changing his diet cleared up his acne. Going back to school got him interested in dressing better. No other way to say it, he glowed up. He's now on his way to being an electrical engineer, he's still my best friend, and is honest to God out of my league in looks/physique. I'm crazy lucky that I caught on early and saw that potential, and that bone structure. My stepmother got gastric bypass surgery and lost a ton of weight. I saw it coming from a mile away, but unfortunately, my dad didn't. She left him for another dude and told him she wanted a divorce via text message. It's been 8 years and I still have not mentioned her by name. And not the partner, but I was with a guy for years and I lost some weight, got pretty toned, changed my hair, and got a better job. None of it changed me, but it changed him. He started getting really paranoid about the male friends that I'd had for years, none of whom had been an issue before my transformation. He started trying to stop me from going out and got super paranoid. He wanted me to stop going to the gym and to put the weight back on. It ended our relationship. Reminds me of my parents' friends. Husband has always been old-fashioned and kind of weird. The wife is very overweight and could be obese. I feel bad saying that. She started going to the gym with me and my mom, and every time before she left, he tried to stop her by inciting a fight. When she got back, he would be visibly annoyed and not talk to her because she wasn't letting him control her. The truth was, he wanted to keep her fat so no other man would want her. It's just crazy to me that someone can be so insecure and selfish that they'd risk their partner's health and happiness. This question made me think of one episode of My 600-Pound Life. Yes, I love trashy TV, thank you, where the woman went from 600 pounds to like 150, and her husband cheated on her with a 500-pound woman because he was into very, very big women. He actually tried to sabotage her weight loss journey, and I believe she suffered a miscarriage from the stress of it all. It was one of the sadder episodes, but at the end, she has a healthy daughter and divorces her trash husband. I was the person who changed. I was 80 pounds heavier when we got married. He told me he liked me heavier because I had bigger chest and bum. He liked me rounder, he says. He also says I changed. I changed because I am now a happier person. We're getting divorced. And not because I lost weight, but I'm sure it hasn't helped. My wife and I have gone through some significant physical changes over the years, several ups and downs. While it's good to get fat and happy together, it can become nerve-wracking when you begin the downslide and one of you is well ahead of being back in shape. Attention can become a major insecurity if you aren't mature enough to handle it. As long as things don't get aggressively competitive, bitterness stays out of it. Jealousy, bitterness, and depression can lead people astray faster than most anything. These can be the ultimate test of relationships and work to build a very intimate trust or completely destroy them. We have been through 8 years and are still going strong. We're married now and he's helping me lose weight too. He lost almost 200 pounds since we got together years ago, and I ended up putting weight on for various health reasons. Now that he's in shape, he's helping me get in shape too. We're encouraging each other to be the healthiest and best versions of ourselves. My girlfriend kept thinking I would cheat on her because I wasn't fat. Over time, she broke my exercise and eating habits, so I gained 60 pounds. She married me, but now doesn't find me very attractive anymore, so no Mexi times. That doesn't sound good, dude. Happened to a buddy of mine. His girlfriend of over 10 years started working out with a friend of hers and went from cute to verging on smoking hot. He used to talk all the time about how lucky he was that his GF was steadily increasing in attractiveness, and he started putting more into the relationship. She dumped him a little while later and left their kid behind to be with some dude she met online. He still isn't right. My man as of now is in far better shape than I am. Not super muscular, but has visible biceps that aren't too much. I think he's handsome, and as someone else could clearly be seen as out of my league, but he loves me for who I am and tells me I'm beautiful the way I am. He's still so insecure about himself and can't believe I'm with him. I love him so much, and I tell him every waking chance how handsome he is. It's been almost 3 months now, and he's slowly starting to feel better about himself because of me. I'm currently losing weight to fix some health issues I have, and my boyfriend is gaining weight and he's really insecure about it. He keeps thinking I'll leave him when I'm out of his league, but he's always going to be my big cuddly teddy bear, and I'll love him no matter what sizes we are or what we look like. What you do is love that person regardless of how they've changed. We all change as we get older. We get wiser, we make different life choices, we expand our horizons. A relationship that is based on true love and trust should be able to adapt and change with the individual changes that partners make. I mean, I guess, but a romantic relationship is very often also based on mutual attraction, and if one partner changes and it's no longer attractive to the other, it can certainly throw a big wrench in things, especially if that change is something that is within that person's control, but it happens anyways. Bitterness and lack of attraction have ended some pretty strong relationships. When we met, my husband was working crappy temp jobs that screwed him on money. He wouldn't stand up for himself and was terribly socially awkward. I was a different kind of socially awkward and I wasn't doing so hot myself, so we fit in well together. Now he makes way more than me, is incredibly fun at parties, and tells people to shove it if they are being jerks to him. I'm just glad he's bringing out the best in himself. He's incredibly talented and hardworking and has such a kind heart. So it's great to finally watch him get his due after years of being misguided and discouraged by his environment. Plus, he's made me a much better person as well. I'm much more confident and productive than I used to be, and I've loosened up and learned to have fun. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. Redditors who've experienced a dramatic weight loss or gain, how has it affected your day-to-day life? Over 2 years, I lost about 180 pounds. I went from 400 to just over 220. I went from a shut-in who was embarrassed to be seen in public to a pretty outgoing guy with a little bit of confidence. Since I was fat most of my life, simple things like going to the pool without my shirt on or wearing form-fitting clothing leaves me uncomfortable and self-conscious. I had a lot of loose skin, and even after surgery to remove it, I still feel fat. I know this is a mental issue on my part since I look fit now. I'm 6'4" with a good amount of muscle, but I doubt it'll ever go away. Hell, this one girl I had an insane crush on rejected me when I was 21 with the simple line, "If you were skinnier, I'd date you in a heartbeat." I still remember that, and it still causes me to keep myself from creating new relationships with people. I've lost 90 pounds this year, hopefully 100 by the end of the year. More people look at me when I'm out and about, people hold open more doors, and are generally nicer. I feel much more like I need to keep up the way I look, like I make more of an effort to wear cute matching clothes, makeup, jewelry, etc. I can wrap one towel around me. I can squat down and not fall over. I can touch my toes. I can jump. I can skip. I feel more steady when I'm up higher for some reason. I can go through turnstiles. I can shop at regular person-sized stores. I found a cute Halloween outfit. My legs fit into boots. My ring size is smaller. I can wear heels much longer without pain. My bum hurts if I sit on something hard for too long. And I'm not afraid of not fitting in carnival rides / airplane seats. I lost 70 pounds in about a year and a half, mostly through smaller portions and running. I have a lot more energy, sleep much better, and I'm much happier, although I think that the last one has mostly to do with the running. I used to fall asleep in the middle of the day, but no longer. I think my quality of life has dramatically improved. I've lost 68 pounds in 18 months. The compliments from family and friends are wonderful. Strangers really see me now. I felt absolutely invisible before, but now most people are warm, inviting, and kind. Some people that used to look so skinny to me now just look average sized. That was a fantastic realization to have. Everything was daunting in the beginning. I neglected myself in so many ways that nothing felt achievable. Why pay for a decent haircut if I can't even look in the mirror? Now I check myself out a lot just to make sure I'm still smaller. I actually have grooming and styling routines when before I'd leave the house with wet hair and no makeup. My twin sister was 70 pounds lighter than me for years. I was ashamed to eat donuts around her when she knew I was desperate to lose weight. It's weird being on the other side of that. Now people get sheepish with me, and I want to tell them that I do not care or judge anyone the way I judge myself. I'm so proud of myself, but it feels like a narcissistic endeavor too. I want to feel good about it, and I do, but it's strange going from paying no attention to your body to working so hard at shaping it. It was absolutely the best thing I've ever done that was just for me. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. People of Reddit who have lost a lot of weight or gotten into great shape, have your standards changed? Or your personality? I lost quite a bit of weight, and sometimes I still try to make fat jokes around new people, and it doesn't work out so well. Dude, I know it. I'm down 100 pounds, and my old fatty McFat sense of humor just doesn't work like it used to. Oh, I'm sorry. That isn't funny to you because I look mexy now. My bad. I've lost about 44 pounds and still losing. My standards haven't changed. I still am attracted to the same kind of guys. Only difference is now they're attracted to me. I've lost around the same amount as you. I've always been a guy that's always been overweight, and it's weird to see people looking at me, and I've struck up far more conversations with some pretty attractive girls recently. A confidence boost has been a rather sweet side effect. I went from being the computer nerd in school to being a very fit adult. On the outside, I appear to be the kind of guy who might pick on the weak or chubby, but inside, I'm still the computer nerd. It's a dangerous dichotomy, and it's gotten me into trouble. My standards for myself changed when I decided I needed to lose weight, not after I actually lost weight. No matter how much weight I lose or how fit I am not satisfied. Also, the amount of dedication and lifestyle change it takes to lose the weight is really distancing to people who are close to you and used to the way things were before. They don't understand why you were at the gym for an hour after work instead of with them during that hour, or why you can't meet them for lunch, etc. Honestly, it's really hard to lose weight and keep it off, even if you are doing it in healthy ways. Your body will fight against it, and you have to keep adding more and more just to maintain, counting calories, cutting more and more processed and junk foods, spending more time on meal prep, and finding healthy alternatives to recipes, more time at the gym, more time researching workout and food plans, etc. People say it's a lifestyle change, but it really has to become more like an obsession if you are going to get anywhere with it. I'm just not sure it's very healthy mentally. I'm saying this as someone who has gone through and is going through this currently. I'm not trying to judge other people because perhaps it is not as difficult for other people, but that's my experience of how I've changed. Losing weight made me realize just how superficial and shallow everyone is. Our culture worships outward appearances. I think it's a bit over the top, but it does make sense. Besides the whole biological aspect, someone who is in good health is someone who has enough self-control not to stuff themselves all the time, and the ability to commit to exercising, so it's also a visible display of desirable non-physical traits. I've lost about 60 pounds, 230 to 170-ish, and I can honestly say I've become a little less confident. I suppose I went from fat and used to being made fun of to knowing I can be attractive, and now I'm very conscious in how I try to look in public. Being a fat bum, I guess I expected people to look at me and think poorly of me. Now people look at me and notice when I have good and bad days. It's very nerve-wracking and has made me more secluded. I've lost nearly half my previous body weight. I was at 89 kilograms and now I'm at 54, and I'm 5'4"-ish. My standards haven't changed, but then it's not like I used to think I'm a fatty, I should go for large guys. I still eat what I want, drink what I want, and wear what I want, as long as it's suitable for my body type. If anything, I think more negatively about some, not all, some, really have to stress that as there are people that have health problems. Larger people, and I predominantly mean the ones that get the double quarter-pounder large meal every day from McDonald's, and then whine that they're bigger without trying to lose it. I do judge a person for who they are and how they are with me and others, as opposed to their weight, looks, social status, etc. I guess above it all, I'm proud that I lost it. I'm healthy, and I've added probably years to my life because of it. Hey all, I used to be 283 pounds and now I'm at 230. I'm also 5'7", so I'm in the middle of my transition and my personality has gotten better. While I'm still 50 pounds away from my goal, I've gained more confidence, I've become more social, and friends tell me my personality is overall better. Of course, I'm still self-conscious. You can still see my fat through my clothes, but I just have to keep working. Best advice I can give to people who are starting to lose weight is to put your feet on the treadmill and go. I know that feeling on one side of the brain saying all these things about what I can't do, and the other side wanting to do it. Even halfway towards my goal, the conflict is still bad. Also, just because you eat something unhealthy and will run it off later, doesn't mean it's healthy. I lost 70 pounds. I ate oranges and worked out all day, didn't count anything, just made sure everything I ate was healthy. No soda, no junk. I just felt better. I have more energy and just overall happiness, especially when interacting with other people. My standards actually went down because I realized that people have the ability to improve themselves. That unattractive girl with frizzy hair and heavy weight can become quite stunning with a new conditioner and diet plan. I've lost about 80 pounds over the last couple of years, 275 to 195 pounds. The answers are yes and yes. Not that who I'm attracted to has changed, but I see myself in a higher league, honestly, so I have the confidence to go after and get girls that I never would have thought possible before. Not that I'm a super stud or anything. As far as personality, I've become more confident and outgoing. I've changed because I feel better about myself. But the thing is that I don't feel better about myself because I look different. I feel better about myself because people treat me different. It's like night and day. Before I lost the weight, I don't think a girl smiled at me once. I've lost 40 pounds by diet and exercise. Through this, I've changed a lot. I developed a passion for health and fitness, and now I'm studying to become a registered dietitian. Not only this, but before I lost weight, I was a 17-year-old girl who was obsessed with trends and not knowing who I am. I believe that becoming healthy truly helped me find myself. Through health, I lost a lot of anxieties and learned to focus on myself. Aside from my eating habits dramatically changing, 2 Big Macs for lunch, making a whole batch of brownies 2 nights a week, etc., everything I do for fun is different too. I don't stay inside playing Sims 3 all day. I actually want to get out and hike, run, rollerblade, bike, have a picnic, and do something fun. I did at first resent overweight and obese people, however. I just was so angry that I was like that, and seeing them just made me mad. That's not really how I feel anymore though. I still feel bad that I did. Beautiful. Well, let's dive into the next chapter. Habits I've noticed from my naturally skinny friends. First off, they're not just naturally skinny. I know metabolisms vary, but most of my naturally skinny friends have some habits that vary a lot from my own right now. These are habits that I unintentionally had up until 1 year ago when I put on some weight. Back then my BMI was 20, now it's 22.5. I'm not trying to offend anyone. I think many of these people who we assume are effortlessly thin actually have daily routines that help them stay in shape without constantly thinking about dieting or food. It keeps them from yo-yoing in weight. These are just some things that I've observed. They only eat when they're hungry. If they wake up in the morning and aren't hungry, they just have a yogurt for breakfast or skip it altogether. Just because it's a mealtime doesn't mean it's time to eat. Say lunchtime comes but they're not hungry, then no need to eat. Dinner comes and you're barely hungry, just a soup. If you're starving, yup, have a big bowl of pasta. They eat in moderation. Basically, they know when to stop. I always finish everything on my plate and then feel overwhelmingly full afterwards. At some point in their meals, they just stop eating and pour the rest of it into a Tupperware for tomorrow. When I was naturally thin, I'd eat till I was comfortably full, 2/3 of a Chipotle burrito bowl, and save the rest. Now I sit there and finish the entire thing until I'm super full and then feel guilty about it afterward. Many of them get grossed out or sickened if they eat unhealthy or eat too many unhealthy meals in a row. They tend to just be more active people, even when it comes to little things. I don't mean that they're always gym rats. I mean they opt for the stairs whenever available. Restaurant is a mile away, let's walk. Lots of water or low and 0-cal drinks throughout the day, like water, tea with no sugar, and seltzer. For me, noticing these things has helped me realize that I'm not just unlucky, it's that I've let myself fall into bad habits like snacking on calorie-dense foods and overeating. It's so easy for me to point my finger at a naturally skinny person and almost blame them, but that's not reasonable or fair to them. Most likely, they're making subconscious healthy decisions and then they indulge when they want to. I can limit myself when I think hard about it and focus, but it always feels awful because it's always a diet or a fast. For them, it's just a matter of eating in the normal pattern. Yes, this is so true. It amazes me sometimes that people can just walk past some candy or junk food and just not eat it. It takes my sister-in-law 4 days to eat a Kit Kat. She eats 1 stick a day with a cup of tea because that's all she wants. She cannot fathom eating a whole chocolate bar at once because it's too sweet. I always thought she could eat whatever she wants and not gain weight. Now I know that's true. She can eat whatever she wants, not whatever I want. She wants 1 Kit Kat stick. I want the whole Kit Kat, plus maybe a Crunchy because that's also my favorite, and then the store has them on sale, 2 for $3, and I can't pass up on a sale, so I'll get them both and eat 1 today and 1 tomorrow, and oh crap, I ate them both. I had somewhat of a deprived childhood, so as an adult, I had a bit of a binging behavior. I have to remind myself sometimes that this isn't the last opportunity to eat a particular thing, and I can pass or just eat a little. It sounds weird, but I would eat something like cake just because it was there and honestly not even really want it, or eat another slice of pizza, even though I was full. I have also noticed that skinny friends will ask to split or share treats. Oh, I really want a cookie. Will someone split it with me? I would eat the whole cookie. I would eat 3 more when no one's looking. I'd eat more with people looking. Honestly, this is awesome. That's great that you see these things. We're creatures of habit, and sometimes it's hard to evaluate your own habits and their impact on your life. I've tried losing weight for years with diets and whatnot, and the struggle is real. It sucks. I've gone down 60 pounds so far, and it's because of my friend. He told me have 1 small goal every week and 1 big goal every month. My first big goal was to keep up with the weekly goal. First week goal was no soda. The second week was also no soda. Third week I didn't crave soda, so I tried for water and 1 cup of coffee only. Fourth week I started with 10-minute walks a couple times a week. Focus on 1 habit until you no longer have to force yourself to do it. Then when you move on to the second, it has all your attention. Don't rush, it's not a race and there's no quick way to the finish. 1 day at a time, just keep swimming. One thing that I've noticed as well that I really struggle with is a lack of the save the best part of the meal for last mentality. For example, when eating chicken, my favorite part is always the crispy tip part, which I usually save as the last bite of my meal. Instead, they'll eat their favorite part first, so when they're full, and can just naturally stop eating without having to worry about finishing that best bit. I think it's also important to remember that a lot of naturally skinny people who are effortlessly thin work incredibly hard at it and just don't talk about it. I expend a huge amount of mental and physical energy staying fit, but there are very few people who I'm willing to talk to about it, so I get a lot of "you're so lucky you're naturally thin" comments. I enjoy eating. It comforts me. I've noticed naturally skinny people don't do that. They don't get the same enjoyment out of it as I do. I've lost 107 pounds and I'm down to the lowest I've been since middle school, but I have to be strict still or I'll go off the rails. Wanted to throw out there that my skinnier friends get a lot of sleep. Your sleep hygiene is crucial. Do not use your phone right before bed in the dark. Cancel out any noises. Sleep in a cooler room. All of these things for sleep made me lose weight fast, along with exercise and eating healthier. My wife is naturally skinny. She just doesn't eat or drink much at all. She eats utter garbage, junk food, candy, and fast food, but she never finishes her meal and only drinks like 1/3 of her soda. But the quality of the food doesn't seem to have anything to do with it, because when I met her, she lived on fast food and candy. I seriously cannot overstate how important it is to drink water instead of pop or sweet tea. Americans take in ridiculous amounts of excess sugar throughout the day just by drinking things other than water. An additional bit of horrible is that all the sugar drinking acclimatizes you to want more sweetness and everything else as well. When I switch from mainly sweet tea and ginger ale to just plain water, I also drop from buying a package of Oreos once every week or two to once every 3 or 4 months. These are all really good points, adding in my own observations. 1, they have active hobbies that they genuinely enjoy doing, hiking, surfing, skiing, mountain biking, something fun like that, rather than just forcing themselves to go to a gym. 2, they tend to really enjoy and appreciate good food versus mindlessly eating. 3, they cook a lot of their own food versus eating out. A lot of the really healthy and slim people I know are amazing at cooking. 4, they eat a lot of fresh fruit. And 5, most of the ones I've met don't drink diet soda. I think the number one thing I've noticed is don't snack while distracted. The habit of, I'm going to watch a movie, better get some snacks too. I'm going to play a game, going to grab something to snack on first. I feel like 99% of people who do this are fat and will always become fat again if they lose the weight. You know how your friends manage to stay skinny seemingly effortlessly? They are too busy to eat a lot of the time. When they're watching a movie or playing a game or working, they get in the zone with no food around them. Many overweight people struggle with a desire to eat. A lot of naturally skinny people straight up forget to eat. They can be so wrapped up in stuff that they will be hungry and just ignored for a while. And when they do eat, it's at a separate time and it's its own activity, and they pay some attention to what they're eating. You can't watch what you're eating if you're literally not even watching what you're eating. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. People that have gone from ugly to very attractive. How did your life change? Well, I've done both things you mentioned, lost 100 pounds and gained a sense of style. Everyone is nicer, not just women, retail workers, professionals, people at bars. I can say the most idiotic thing now, and people will laugh with me and be interested in what I'm saying. And previously, I could say something actually insightful or funny and just get ignored. My life changed completely. Lost 70 pounds and cut a foot of hair off my sophomore year of college. People started treating, looking, talking, and hitting on me differently. I've lost and gained friends with my so-called transformation. Before my transformation, people treated me like crap. I was that kid who always got picked on and who had little to no friends. However, this is not the case anymore. Lost a few friends due to their shallowness towards me after changing. Also gained some friends with more people starting to talk to me. It took me some time to feel comfortable with this change. I now learned to channel my looks for the greater good. People seem to realize I exist now, which is weird because I used to be over 300 pounds. When I walk into a room, people take notice and typically make eye contact and smile. When I was heavy, people would quickly glance away from me. It hit me the hardest yesterday though. I always hated getting my photo taken with my best friend since she has always been the pretty one. When we saw each other this weekend though, I realized I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's an insane change going from the fat and ugly friend to just a friend, and maybe even a hot one. I'm a 5'4", 18-year-old girl, and I used to be 200 pounds. High school and middle school was the bane of my existence. People don't talk to you because you're fat. I never had guy attention, and shallow girls love to keep you fat because it makes them feel better about themselves. I lost the weight in a year through a lot of friggin' hard work. Life became completely different. Everyone was nicer suddenly. Everyone wanted to be my friend. Everyone wanted to help me with something. Are you friggin' joking? Yes, I get that I sweat a ton of lard every day and I could probably have fed a small village if they wanted to raise me as livestock, but that didn't make me any less of a human being. In the time I was ignored, I developed a personality and character rather than rely on my good looks. I love that I became who I am by my skills and interests rather than my looks and attention. I'm not trying to say good-looking people don't have that, not at all, but I believe it has made me a stronger person with more admirable qualities. About to get buried up in this thread, but oh well, I just enjoy sharing as motivation. A long story short, people see you as ugly when you're bigger. I was never the attractive one, always skipped over, always friend zoned. The friend zone exists, by the way, due to a lack of confidence. This is very generic, but fake it until you make it. Stick that chin up and pretend you're the friggin' man/woman. When you believe in yourself, so do others. I dropped the weight, my confidence peaked. I got an incredibly kind and beautiful girlfriend. Is dating easier? Incredibly. Does everyone seem shallow? You bet. The difference between fat me and attractive me is all aesthetics. I'm still a loser. Not sure if this will see the light of day, but I went through a 10-year awkward phase from 10 to 20 years old. My hair was frizzy and out of control. I wore baggy clothes because I was 80 pounds overweight and insecure with a really bad posture, and I wore wire-rimmed glasses that I rarely wanted to use. I never went out on a date when I was in grade school and never went out because of my insecurities. Then I started losing the weight. I got contacts, started to dress nicer, fixed my hair better, and suddenly I started getting asked out more and my social life skyrocketed. But I think it has a lot to do with me than other people. I actually became a bit more confident and positive, and people feed off of that. The looks help, don't get me wrong, and I also still keep to myself sometimes since I can't hide the awkward antisocial chick all the time. This will probably get buried, but I know what it's like to be fat and then not fat. People are much nicer to me now that I've lost 90 pounds. I'm pretty oblivious when I get checked out though. My husband tells me when it happens. He'll be like, "Did you see that guy checking you out?" And I'll be like, "Nope." I'm grateful I experienced being undesired though. It helps put perspective on everything. People are all important, and that's something my kids know too. I finally grew into my own skin and learned how to use makeup properly and dress myself recently after being an incredibly awkward child and teenager. I was never ugly, but I was pretty average, oddly proportioned, and easily overlooked. I definitely got more positive attention from strangers, but I question everyone's motives. If someone starts subtly flirting, I automatically dismiss the advances and friendzone them out of habit, assuming that friendship is what they're interested in. If someone is more direct, I feel like they're shallow and my appearances are all they value, since my personality is what I'm used to relying on. However, my confidence in general has definitely gone up. I'm not really afraid to talk to strangers or people with whom I'm not well acquainted anymore. And to be honest, as much as I like to believe it wasn't because of my appearance, it's been much easier to get jobs and a social network. I'm pretty sure this will get buried under the 944 comments, but I figured typing this out might help me anyways, so here goes my experience with your question. I am a 22-year-old female who has lost a significant amount of weight and now rests somewhere near 120. In the process of doing so, I have learned to do my makeup through books, tutorials, and practice, have completely changed my style, from high school crust punk to something to what I like to think is a pin-up 50 style, and cleared up my skin. People have called me beautiful and attractive, though I'm unsure as to whether or not that is true. I've experienced what many in this thread have. People are nicer, more likely to go to their way for you, and guys certainly hit on me more. I lost a bunch of weight once I went to college. My mother's a lawyer, so I pretty much lived off fast food at home. I also had my braces taken off in my sophomore year of college. Apart from being more mature, I'm very much the same person. The biggest differences I noticed: I get checked out a lot more. People smile back at me. Salespeople are more willing to wait on me. Much easier to make female friends. People are generally willing to give you a break or cut you slack on some things. People either assume you're a great person or a jerk for being good looking. I've never forgotten how I felt when people would mistreat me for being overweight, and I will never treat someone who is overweight like I was treated. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. What should have been a wake-up call for you, but wasn't? I was watching My 600-Pound Life, a guilty pleasure, and thinking about how some really extreme things are just accepted as normal by the patients on there. Not being able to clean yourself, not fitting through door frames, and eventually not being able to get out of bed. It made me reflect on my own weight gain, and I was thinking, if someone watched my life, what wake-up call would they be shocked that I missed and normalized? This is what I came up with. When I broke a chair. It was damaged before, right? Plus super rickety. When I spent $200 in a week on fast food and my bank called me, I was stressed. When I popped a button of a really cute jacket. It looked better unbuttoned anyway. Surely they were just for show. I can't be alone in these kind of reflections. What did y'all miss that looking back on should have been a turning point for you? Having to shop for a new Mother of the Bride outfit the day before my daughter's wedding because I no longer fit into the one we picked out 6 months before. I stopped updating social media for a good year, not because I was on an internet cleanse, but because I hated how I looked in all my pictures. Also stopped going to the beach and pool, which are two of my favorite activities because I didn't look good in swimsuits. Somehow didn't realize it was tied to gaining weight. When I took my order of fast food to go, so no one would watch me eat enough food for 2 or 3 by myself. There's something dark about sitting alone in your car, scarfing down tacos, and pretending everything's okay. I remember once ordering Chinese takeout for dinner, and they gave me 4 fortune cookies. At the time, I thought they just gave out a bunch of fortune cookies with every order, but all my friends I told about it would all respond saying they only got 1. So my dinner was apparently expected, and probably enough to feed 4 people comfortably. Yeah, I used to get sushi, and they'd give me 4 sets of chopsticks. I used to order the 2 medium pizza specials that would last me a few days of leftovers. After a while though, I would eat more and more in a sitting until it was my dinner. At the worst, I was eating 8 to 10 medium-sized pizzas a week. Fun bonus, when I finally started to cut back, the pizza place called me to see if I was placing my usual order, and they were worried because they hadn't heard from me. When both my mom and sister-in-law suggested that I buy a bigger size of jeans. I had been a 16 all through high school, and then an 18 up until right before my wedding. I refused to think I would need a 20, so I just ignored the holes I was getting in the thigh area and that I was constantly having to adjust them. I finally bought the bigger jeans. That's when I started to really take a look at myself. 50 pounds later, my mom and sister-in-law suggested I buy smaller jeans. When I could no longer see my lady parts when I was shaving. Most girls have bellies, right? I started snoring constantly at night. Who doesn't make noises in their sleep? When I couldn't fit in the ride at a carnival because the bar wouldn't go all the way down. It had to be because it was a child's ride. When I went to a concert and the walk from the car was a mile, and I almost called an Uber because I couldn't breathe and it hurt my feet and body. For me, it was when I broke a ladder while climbing out of the pool and chalked it up to being old. And then I broke a hammock while I was sitting in it. I also had to buy a size 18 pair of dress pants which were still tight on me, and I also ate a dozen donuts by myself. I was unable to attend school for a whole semester because I physically could not walk longer than 1 hour at a time due to my sciatica. I go into bouts of pain with my back at least once a year. I ended up graduating late. Surprisingly, this wasn't my wake-up call. My real wake-up call was this past November when I ordered 2 large pizzas, then bought a family-sized box of fries at KFC, and then headed to the convenience store to buy 2 bags of chips, pop, and a box of pizza pockets to sustain me for a 2-day weekend of isolation. I bailed on all my friends who were going out on the weekend and ate all that food in 2 days while watching Netflix. From September to November, I gained 27 pounds. I was carving a path to 300 pounds rapidly. I'm doing regular counseling now and simply taking everything one day at a time. My aunt died last week. I couldn't attend the funeral because no formal clothes exist in my country for my size. Besides the obvious health indicators, liver lipids indicating fatty liver, borderline blood sugar, high blood pressure, etc., the one I should have noticed was my dog stopped sitting next to me on our recliner because we didn't both fit. Now, both of our butts easily fit next to each other on the recliner and he's back sitting next to me. I used to wear scrubs to work and t-shirts and stretchy pants at home, so I got bigger and bigger without really having any cues I was doing it. Yeah, my scrubs got tighter, but they also stretched with me to a point. Every time I'd go out with friends, I would have to go shopping for an outfit that fit me. Either I just worn the one or two acceptable options I had, or none of them fit anymore, depending on how long ago it had been since I last went out. It still took me way longer than it should have to get it under control. I was watching My 600-Pound Life, and while I'm nowhere near 600 pounds, I noticed some similar habits. Mainly, this woman waited for her family to leave to order fast food that she wanted to eat. I would rush home from visiting family in college to order Chinese or a pizza. It was not a great moment. When I was pretending to be on the phone when ordering food, so it seemed like I was ordering for a group of people, but it was really just me, myself, and I. And when I noticed stretch marks on my arms. Ugh, yes, the stretch marks. Stretch marks on my thighs, I've always had those. Then stretch marks on my stomach, that should have been the wake-up call. But no, not until stretch marks on my arms did I actually do anything. I used to have an annual pass for Disneyland and ran all over the park without an issue. I moved away, changed jobs, and slowly put on weight. Didn't worry about it. I decided to go to Disney World and realized on day 3, when I pulled a leg muscle, that I was fat and out of shape. Limping all over the park sucked, and I knew it was because I had let myself go. I'm planning on going to Tokyo Disney in a few months, and I'm confident I'll be able to walk circles around the park without pulling any muscles. Fastening my jeans with the hair elastic around the button because I couldn't get it to reach the buttonhole. At first, I couldn't squeeze into the jeans I bought when I was competing, so that made sense to me. Obviously, I couldn't maintain that level of fitness. But when it started to trickle to my normal jeans, and then finally, I was doing it with the bigger size jeans I had already bought because the others were too small. Lately, I realized I was only ever wearing tights and sweatpants because even with the hair elastic, the jeans were still too tight. I should have caught on a while ago, but alas. When I checked my bank account and realized at the rate I went, I spent thousands of dollars on fast food in one semester. Oh man, and this one, when I would avoid going to school because all my classes were all over the university and I didn't want to walk. I ended up dropping some classes because I didn't want to get in an extra 20 minutes of walking between classes per day. And that should have been a huge warning. Beautiful. Let's dive into the next chapter. Obese Redditors who lost the weight. What surprised you the most? I lost 80 pounds last year, and 2 things really stuck out. The first was realizing my thighs no longer touched. I couldn't, for the life of me, figure out why my legs felt so weird all the time. They were cold and kind of gangly, like they weren't quite sure what to do sometimes. It finally hit me. I was learning how to walk all over again, since my thighs weren't constantly compressed together. It threw off my entire world. Second, I work in a healthcare field and people take me so much more seriously now. Even though I educate on postpartum mental health support, attachment, etc., there is an enormous difference in how seriously I'm taken compared to before the weight loss. There's a very real bias against overweight folks, and it was weird to have it blatantly played out before me. I went from morbidly obese to almost underweight. I always thought my life would be perfect and all my social problems would be solved if I could just lose the weight. I was wrong. So wrong. I also thought that I love all the positive attention about my looks, but it really just makes me super anxious. It also kind of pisses me off how much better I am treated now that I'm considered hot. Fat people really do get treated like dirt. I still see a fat person in the mirror. I don't think of myself as thin, and it feels weird when I fit into smaller spaces or people call me little. My clothes are always way too big because I still reach for clothes that hide my body, and because I have absolutely no idea what I look like. How much better I was treated. I was technically just on the border of overweight and obese, so I was never debilitatingly overweight. But it was like I was suddenly on the Enterprise, and doors were whooshing open for me before I even got to them. When I'm chilling on my right or left side, my knees touch. Weird. Also, a lot of skin that goes all the ways, and there's no chance to hide it. How people will warn you against training too much and eating too little, but in fact, they are average at best. I remember I used to be friends with this guy who was a really good swimmer and had a swimmer body. I started Muay Thai, going to the gym 1.5 hours in the morning and 1.5 hours in the night every day. I lost 40 pounds of fat and gained some muscle. He said I would get burnt out and quit. People judge not only your body, but your mental health and conviction to your goals, like they know you better than you know you. F 'em. I've lost 75 pounds so far. I've been actively dating, and on my dating app profiles, I keep a fairly up-to-date body shot. I realized I hadn't taken one in a while since losing this weight. I have about 100 to go, and I put on the same outfit as my current body shot. I just stood there gawking at myself because I didn't even look like the same person in that dress. It's baggy and looks inappropriate to even wear now. I just sat on the end of my bed, staring at the side-by-side I created. So I'd say the biggest surprise was the fact that I didn't even notice the physical size difference. I'd been so head down focused on healthy habits and my eating that the actual loss of mass hadn't occurred to me. Wasn't obese per se, but I definitely lost a good deal of weight right before high school. I'd say what surprised me was that I still felt and thought like I was fat, even though I clearly wasn't, and the overwhelming amount of fake people who now wanted to be my friend/date me. To this day, I think that was one of the most eye-opening experiences of my life. Went from 250 to my current of 185. Bones don't hurt anymore. I can walk much further and faster. I'm cold all the time. I notice people noticing me now. Acne got better, although still not gone. Way less tired. I can feel my bones poking from under my skin, and it still weirds me out. The bone thing surprised me the most though. If you've been struggling with your weight for a long time, you have to completely change your emotional state to change your physical state. If you've gotten to a point that you're very unhappy with, it most likely did not happen by accident or happen overnight. Losing the weight will be the same way. You have to stay consistently committed to eating nutritionally adequate foods and moving more. However, something that is overlooked is the spiritual and emotional side of weight loss. You have to completely shift your mindset to not rely on food for comfort. You won't find what you're looking for at the bottom of the chip bag, and that fourth donut will not solve your problems in life. We have to choose our battles, and life is already so complicated. Don't make it more difficult by suffering the social and health consequences that come from an unhealthy lifestyle. Emotional eating can be a tough cycle to break, but is necessary to lose and maintain weight. If you have existing mental health problems, it is crucial to seek treatment. When I got diagnosed with ADHD, my lifelong struggle of weight problems made so much more sense due to my lack of impulse control and dopamine seeking. If you were raised with unhealthy habits from your parents, journaling or talking it out with a professional can be extremely healing. Of course, the root of your weight issues is going to differ from person to person, but when you find the reason, you can then discover the solution and finally stick to it. You have to have the guts to face your issue and take responsibility for how you choose to take care of yourself. There is no other way. You don't have to be the victim. Enjoy all the good and difficult things along this journey, and do not waver in your goal. The equation of losing weight is simple, and the process can fly by if you stay committed to putting your mental and physical health first. Time will pass anyways, so there's no better time to put in the effort to show your body, mind, and soul the respect it deserves and has been craving. You must have the belief that you deserve nothing less than optimal health, a body you feel comfortable in, and a healthy relationship with food, and to live your life according to this belief. This means no contact with people or situations that trigger you to overeat, no foods you know that will make you binge, no crazy diets. Remember, the body likes routine and stability, and less contact with toxic family members. Once you live a lifestyle according to your weight loss and mental health goals, you will see amazing physical changes as well as less willingness to be controlled by emotions, toxic people, or food. I know that this has been long, but I feel like this is an aspect so overlooked in the weight loss community. Our life is in our minds, so making it a healthy and safe place to be will be the driving force in your weight loss. I wish you all so much luck in your weight loss journey, and that it not only makes you feel happy with your appearance, but also content within yourself because you decided to respect and love yourself in the way you deserve.